in the office before the show, Amy, about just, and again, we started the show with this. It just feels like there's this proximity to crime. And I know sometimes it's perception where you feel like it's a legitimate war zone, and it
Mhm.
really isn't. The city of St. Louis, and in particular downtown, it does really feel that way right now. And I think the numbers suggest that there has been an uptick, like there has in a lot of cities around the country. Crime has gone up, violent crime, car crimes have gone up around the country. So it's not just exclusive to here. We might have it at a higher rate than a lot of
Mhm.
these other cities do, but there is an uptick everywhere. We just had the murder 2 days ago on Tucker, right down the street from where we were. It seems like, and from your perspective, you've been around
I
a lot
know.
of gunplay lately.
Yeah, yeah. I've been on the periphery of some pretty violent crimes that are taking place in the middle of the day. Again, I think in order to comfort ourselves that we're not really in any danger, we usually separate ourselves from violent crime by saying, well, that happened at 2 in the morning,
Right.
or that happened on, a sketchy street. I don't go down that street. But the thing is, a lot of these violent crimes are taking place in the heart of St. Louis, in the middle of the day. So the execution style murder happened 2 blocks away. They found the suspect at the
In the
library
library right
across
across the
the
street
street
here.
from us.
Yeah.
So you have the suspect of that murder right there across the street. And then there was a shooting. It was a drive by shooting in Richmond Heights, just across from the Galleria, where I am all the time. And it was at 5 o'clock. So again, the sun is out. It's crowded. My goodness. 5 o'clock on Brentwood Boulevard. It is about as crowded as you can get. It's just down the street from the Eager Road 170, crazy intersection, Whole Foods, Target, all of that, the Galleria, and a shooting at pedestrians, drive-by shooting at pedestrians. And I'm thinking, wow, I was just there. I'm on the periphery of all these violent crimes that are taking place during the day, and I've been fine. And I'm not going to come to work. I'm not going to
Well, of course
stop
not.
coming downtown. I'm not going to stop running or going to the Galleria, but I can definitely see that I've gotten a little bit too used to it, and I can see why people out in the county are afraid of coming downtown or even now to the Galleria where the
Yeah.
shootings were taking
No,
place.
it's not just now though. I mean, let's be honest. There have been people out west who live here. Not I shouldn't just say out west, but mostly those who are just on the outside of the city limits, looking in here, and people around the region who look at St. Louis like it is just the most
Mhm.
dangerous place in the entire world and you would never want to go there. So I don't think this is a new conversation necessarily. Maybe the intensity of it is new in the last couple of years, but there's always been, as long as I can remember, there's been conversation about how dangerous downtown is, and you don't want to go downtown. And I'm never going to go down there. But for me, I don't feel any less safe now than I did when I moved back 5 years ago
Yeah.
or 6 years ago, whatever it is. I just don't. I don't know. Maybe it's me being naive, but I haven't really changed habits much. I'm always kind of aware of where I am and who's around me, but I've always been that way, I guess. And in the neighborhood I live, the Central West End, I remember when I was moving into the neighborhood or looking into the neighborhood and telling people I know where I'm looking and the place I might get. A lot of them said, "Aren't you afraid to move to the Central West End?" And I'm like, "No, I'm
Mhm.
just not because there was this perception that there's a lot of stuff that happens." And I know we just had something happen at the Straubs,
We did.
but it doesn't really happen that often. I don't know. I don't feel scared. I don't feel nervous. There are times where I feel a little uneasy, but that's about it. I don't have this overwhelming sense of I don't ever want to go down to the city and let me just work from home, Steve, because I'm afraid to drive to the office. I just don't. I know what's going on.
Mhm.
I know that it happens close. I personally just don't feel afraid to be here.
No, and some of it is just getting used to it. I mean, it
Yeah.
really is. If you live on the outskirts of the city, like further south, further west, whatever it may be, it is very different. It's a different vibe. Some of that is just cities are cities, right? It's always
Yeah.
going to be a different vibe in the city than it is going to be in a more rural or suburban area of any town. So that you understand. The Galleria definitely has had to take steps to to monitor crime because it has gotten a bit more dangerous. That's why there's curfews now with certain age groups. I know there's some gang stuff they had to cut down on. And again, I go to the Galleria almost every week and I feel totally fine, but I can see how people might be nervous.
I was just there a couple of days
Yeah.
ago in the afternoon and felt totally fine as well. And one of the problems, traffic has been a problem, people driving recklessly throughout the area. Would red light cameras help in the city of St. Louis? We used to have them.
What?
Let's talk to an old friend. Charlie Brennan is coming up next on KMOX.
Following Saturday's City SC home opener, it's the debut of Extra Time with Mr. Soccer Bill McDermott. Live from the Pitch Athletic Club and Tavern. Enjoy warm food, a cold drink, and a St. Louis soccer conversation. That's Saturday immediately following the game, 10 till midnight on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-5555. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, behind on taxes houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-5555. That's 314-782-5555.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Join us Sundays at 9:30 a.m. for Your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Your retirement plan was solid. You'd sell your home and use all that hard-earned equity to live your dream. No one saw inflation hitting a 40-year high or the housing bubble that could crater your home's value. So what do? You can put your retirement plans on hold indefinitely or hope to sell your home before its value crashes and then find a new place to live. What if your best move is no move at all? Truehold will buy your home today before values plunge. But here's what makes Truehold unique. You can keep living in your home, paying a comfortable rent. The cash is yours now for travel, retirement, invest it, pay off your bills, anything. Truehold even covers property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. Truehold is the simple, easy solution to unlock financial freedom without having to move and disrupt your life. Discover how much Truehold will give you now for your home while its value is high. Call 1-855-300-9993, 855-300-9993, or visit Truehold.com.
Connect with KMOX on air, online, 1120 AM, 98.7 FM, KMOX.com.
Amy, March Coors, Chris Ranji. It is the show on KMOX. We are glad to have you with us, and we are glad to have this person with us. You know him as Charlie Brennan. We know him as Charlie Brennan, and he joins us on the guest line this morning on KMOX. Hello, Charlie.
Hey, Chris, Amy, I was described before the break as your old friend.
Who said that?
I think you did.
Damn. Well, I mean it in the sense that I have old friends who are like me, my age. I've just known them a long time. That's what that means.
You're right. I am old.
No, you're not. You're spry.
Well, he just meant you're out to pasture.
Exactly.
That's what I meant. Yeah, you're on the back. He's not on the back nine. He's playing 36, this guy.
I'm not on the back nine. I'm on the front porch telling kids to stay off the lawn.
I love it, as it should be. Well, Charlie, we're so glad that you're joining us this morning because we're talking about red light cameras again. The Mayor Tishaura Jones administration is considering some type of automated enforcement of traffic signals, and that may include red light cameras. And of course, you had a red light camera case that you took all the way to the Supreme Court a few years ago.
Yeah, technically mine was a speeding camera, which is kind of a cousin of a red light camera. Speeding cameras are cameras that take photos of people who are driving down the highway or a road. And then, of course, the red light cameras would be positioned at stoplights, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of a difference, but they're all kind of in the same category as far as I'm concerned. And along with the attorneys Beavis Schock and Hugh Eastwood, I actually challenged this, asked for a jury trial, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, which ruled in our favor. And that's there is one city that has, I believe, red light cameras now, and that's Hannibal. And Hugh and Beavis are currently contesting that.
What do you think the fairness is of these cameras? I've gotten, and again, we're talking about two slightly different things here, the red light camera, the speeding camera. I have gotten a red light ticket before. It sucks. I hate that feeling of driving through, especially at night, and then you see the two flashes of the light bulb go off, and you know, well, they got me because I just ran a red light. What is the fairness of these things, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, you have to make sure that the car has a license plate or a tag that's not expired. And so many vehicles which are running these lights now don't. So I don't think that they'll ever be subject to the red light cameras or the speeding cameras, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you drive around our area, how many people don't even have license plates? Too many. But also, state law says the driver and only the driver is liable for moving violations like speeding. And this is one of the points that was brought up in our case. And so let's say someone else is driving your car because your car is stolen. Well, guess what? That speeding camera ticket is going to go to you, the owner. So there are real problems with it. I like state troopers and local police officers pulling people over, because you pull over the person who actually drove the vehicle, you give that person a ticket, and then you assess points against that person's license. And then you find out if the person is driving with insurance, if or a driver's license, et cetera, et cetera. A camera can't do that. Camera can't determine if the person is driving with insurance or with a driver's license that's valid. So if you were going to ask me how to provide some sort of law enforcement for the area, it would be using cops.
Yeah, right. And that, I think, is the critical point here is so many cars have expired tags, no tags whatsoever, no plates. You would guess that a lot of the perpetrators who are in the habit of breaking the law anyway, who aren't getting their plates renewed, don't have any plates at all, well, that might be a vast majority of people running through traffic signals anyway. So I'm not sure that it's really going to cut down on the offenses or stop the reckless disregard that so many drivers have downtown.
That's right. You know, it's actually, and I'm not sure it still is because we have a new police chief, but back in October of 2021, when law enforcement in the streets were unsafe back then, things haven't changed too much. But back then, a member of the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, Michelle Woodling, said that they would increase traffic enforcement, but they wouldn't be enforcing expired plates and lack of insurance and other problems. And if that's still the policy, well, I think the mayor should change that. Maybe there should be a signal sent, hey, we're going to enforce the rules of the road. Because obviously right now, a lot of drivers do believe it's the Wild West and anything goes.
Yeah, and Attorney Beavis Schock also made the argument that most of the people committing the traffic mayhem, they're not responding to the law anyway. So let's say they run a red light. Let's say they do have plates, they do have tags so they can be tracked down. They're not going to pay the $100 fine when they get a note in the mail.
Yeah. I mean, will they even get a note in the mail? Is the guy driving the vehicle really driving his own vehicle?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be his brother's. His brother will probably get the ticket, or his parents, or I don't know if most of the people driving cars and going through stoplights near Crown Candy at 90 miles an hour have registered their cars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a thing Andy Candy has been talking about forever. And there's just been no traction on that whatsoever, because for as long as I can remember, since I've been following him on social media, he is posting these videos every single day. And he has no shortage of videos to post every single day of people driving probably 15, 20 miles over the speed limit.
Yeah, you could put speed bumps there. And if you go through North County, and actually parts of Clayton too, for that matter, you'll see an increasing number of streets have speed bumps, which are kind of a pain in the neck, but they definitely slow down traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was part of the mayor's plan as well, as to pull out the curbs a little bit, to narrow the lanes or remove lanes so that you don't have these wide speedways downtown.
Like on Grand.
Yeah.
That was the intent there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that can only go so far. The horrible accident that resulted in the Tennessee teen losing her legs, that car was going down St. Charles, which is a very narrow street. And I'm not sure that that's the panacea that city officials think it is. There are other ways to do it too that are less expensive. The Bloomberg Foundation has all sorts of money so that you could actually repaint the streets. And by repainting the streets, you can kind of reconfigure how traffic flows. And it's a lot less expensive than widening curbs. And believe it or not, by putting paint in certain ways on the street, you can redirect traffic from 2 lanes to 1 lane. But I'm still not entirely convinced that is going to slow down a lot of these drivers. I think they'll drive on the sidewalk.
Charlie, it was good to talk to you.
Yeah.
Maybe next time we'll talk about something more fun.
Well, I thought this was very fun.
Really? I mean, it's always fun to talk to you, but it seems like the last 2 weeks for Amy and me, it's been nothing but just tragic nonsense. That's what it's been.
Yeah, it's been a grim 2-week period. You're absolutely right. And I was listening to your conversation earlier, and I do think a lot of people are afraid of downtown St. Louis. I'm thinking twice about it right now. I got to admit, I mean, when you have shootings in broad daylight, 10 a.m.
Yeah. Charlie, good to talk to you. Thanks for
visiting.
visiting.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Charlie.
That's Charlie Brennan with us here on KMOX.
So good to hear his voice on KMOX. I miss it.
It is. Amy and I went around town and we talked to people here in the St. Louis area about their feelings on crime in the St. Louis area and whether or not they knew the circuit attorney. Some pretty good conversations. We'll bring you a little bit of that when we come back here on the show.
I'm a man of wealth and taste.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE and frustrated taking pills that don't work, Paramount Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that effectively treat your problem. 98% of patients experience immediate results during their first office visit. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Brown. The physicians at Paramount Men's Medical Center offer the most advanced treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Now men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Guys, to eliminate your frustration in the bedroom, call Paramount Men's Medical Center now to take advantage of this exclusive limited-time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free, and you'll see instant results right in the office. Call now, 314-720-8081. 314-720-8081. That's 314-720-8081.
Hey guys, Glover here, and I see clearly thanks to Doctors Birdie and Malhotra, and you can too. Go to youridoc.com today or call 314-966-5000.
Spark Co-working St. Louis is a new collaborative workspace located within the PwC Pennant Building in Ballpark Village. The Spark Co-working community supports the thriving St. Louis entrepreneurial ecosystem, where you can live, work, and watch the Cardinals play all within one district. The all-inclusive workspace includes furnished month-to-month offices and suites with stadium, city, and arch views, concierge mail service, Nitro Cold Brew coffee on tap, and so much more. Call 314-278-5297 or visit spark-stl.com.
I'm JR of CBS Sports Radio, and I want to introduce you to a new podcast titled Agents of Inclusion, brought to you by Special Olympics, Odyssey, and JR Sport Brief Productions. Every Wednesday, we'll be speaking with a different Special Olympics athlete to share their stories of perseverance, accomplishment, and path towards inclusion. We don't want you to just listen. We want you to become an active agent of inclusion as well. Special Olympics, Agents of Inclusion, find it on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
We have sunny skies and 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel. Greece's transport minister has resigned following an overnight train collision that killed at least 36 people. And fresh snow in the California mountains has left people stranded and roads impassable in more than 100,000 homes and businesses across the state without power. In Iowa today, LGBTQ students and allies in at least 14 school districts and one university have planned a walkout to protest bills this session that include denying life-saving gender-affirming care for minors, censoring classroom discussion of gender identity and sexual orientation, and a proposal to ban same-sex marriage in the Iowa state constitution. Dodge is recalling 139,000 Durango SUVs that have a part that can fly off while they are being driven. WWJ Radio's Jeff Gilbert explains.
That spoiler was installed too close to the lift gate. Years of opening that gate can weaken the spoiler. While there have been several warranty claims, no accidents or injuries have been reported. The recall involving certain 2021 through 23 Dodge Durangos.
Watch for a stalled vehicle 64 eastbound at 270 on the right shoulder. That should be cleared up in about 20 minutes. Emergency vehicles 64 eastbound are there as well. Be prepared to stop. And the KMOX forecast for this afternoon, partly sunny, warmer, the high 68. Right now it's sunny and 56 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Carol Daniel, KMOX News.
This is Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates. For the best eye doctors, you need to see the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. YourEyeDoc.com, 314-966-5000.
Broadcasting from the Underlying Tree Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX. Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
I'm Dakota Hudson. I'm Jordan Hicks. I'm Cardinals pitcher Jock Flaherty. I'm Tommy Edman. I'm Cardinals outfielder Jordan Walker. I'm Paul DeYoung. I'm Woodson Contreras. I'm Adam Wainwright, and you're listening to the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
The show on KMOX, Amy Marks, Coors, Chris Ron G. You're welcome to text this 314-436-7900. You can call that number too if you want to do that. Some people have texted and suggested, Amy, that maybe you didn't close out your transaction at the marketplace here with your credit card, and therefore other people came in and charged things to your card, and that it wasn't actually stolen out of your purse.
But it does that little pop-up square says, thank you, it was processed, you're done.
Yeah.
Right? It feels very much like it closed out.
Another texter has blamed Andrew from the Dave Glover show for stealing your credit card.
That's more likely. His desk is directly behind mine. He knows my schedule when I'm in and out of the office. It's very likely it's Andrew.
Also, this text says, Chris, I've been sporadically listening for the last couple months. Wasn't until the ridiculous comment you made this morning about the city being safe, but I completely knew you had no gray matter at all. Yep. Sure, statistically, it's a low percentage of getting robbed/shot, but it's one of the most dangerous cities in the U.S. Stop being such a liberal with your head buried in the sand. Look, Amy, I'm not going to say this texter is stupid.
Yeah.
I might say they're really terrible at listening, because at no point ever have I said the city is safe. What I said was, I'm not afraid being down here personally. And also, for the reason this person mentioned, statistically is a very small percentage chance of you being shot and or robbed in the city.
Well,
I'm just sorry. I'm not afraid. You're welcome to be afraid. Stay at home. Never leave the house. Nothing bad will ever happen to you.
And we said, too, undoubtedly it's recency bias in the sense that every day that you come downtown and you don't get attacked or shot, it sounds so morbid, but you get used to it, right? You get that sense of security. I understand if you live out in St. Charles or you live in Chesterfield and you never come downtown, it's going to be intimidating coming downtown. You see the news. We know that the city struggles with crime. Absolutely understand your trepidation. With me, I know there's a recency bias. I come down here every day and I can simultaneously say there is a massive crime problem. I think our city leaders have been tragically derelict in many areas when it comes to battling crime, or at least being efficient at it. And yet I still come downtown every day and I don't live in constant fear. Those two things can be true.
How much you would have bet this guy during COVID said, oh, go ahead. There's a less than 1% chance you die from it. Be afraid if you want.
I don't know.
I bet the Venn diagram on that is a circle.
But like I said, I both love the city and I'm super embarrassed the past,
both things
2
can be
weeks.
true.
I am so embarrassed.
Sorry, man. Be
by
afraid
this
if you want.
city and the way it's being run.
Yeah, me too. I want it to be better. I'm just personally not scared. You can be scared if you want. Stay home. Stay wherever you live. I don't care. Don't fall off the ladder. You'll be fine.
And I'm smart about driving downtown. I lock my doors immediately. I will go through certain intersections if it's empty and it's maybe at night or very early in the morning, like 4 a.m. I've definitely run red lights. I'm not going to just sit there.
So you and I went around town and we talked to people trying to get some perspective from them on how they feel about the city, the crime in the city, what can be done, that sort of thing. And also if they even knew who the circuit attorney was. And what I will tell you, my phone that I was using to record these interviews just decided to not record a lot of it. So there were some really good answers that I didn't get the entire portions, but I remember what they told me. I spoke to 5 people, and only one of them kind of knew who the circuit attorney was. Like they were familiar, but couldn't think of the name. Another person knew only because they listened a lot. to the news, so they had heard about it.
And that's really interesting because I don't know about you, but I spoke to 3 people, and all of them were either within the city limits or just on the edge, like in Clayton. I wanted to go further out west, and I still will. Go out to St. Charles, go out to Chesterfield, go out to Fenton, and see, do you know who the circuit attorney is? What do you know about the city of St. Louis? And we didn't even get that far west, and so your interviews were all within the city limits, weren't they?
Yeah, they all took place either just outside the city or right inside the city limits.
Yeah.
And here's Chuck in St. Charles. The funny thing is the very first people I approached were from Iceland. And they're like, we're doing the Route 66 thing. We heard about the Ark. They wanted to see the Ark. They didn't want to go on
You mean the arch?
they called it the Ark.
Oh,
It was really adorable. So I think that's all they were looking at, and they were driving through. So they didn't want to go on air to talk about it, so I didn't interview them, but I spoke to them for a few minutes. First person I talked to was Chuck in St. Charles.
Significantly more crime than where I'm from. I've done a lot of work down there, and it just seems a little rougher.
As opposed to what it was, say, 5 or 10 years ago, does it seem different to you?
I don't know that I really have an opinion of what it was like 10 years ago because I didn't spend a lot of time in the city. I just recently I've done quite a bit of work in the city.
How much do you know about the circuit attorney in St. Louis?
Just what I've seen on the news.
So you know who Kim Gardner is?
Sure, absolutely.
Have you been following the story?
It's just what I hear in the morning on the radio coming in, stuff like that.
So that's a person who's been paying attention, but is not really just not paid attention in the way that we have done it, or maybe some other people closer to the situation have. So I wasn't really surprised by all of that.
Yeah.
The next person I talked to was Carolyn, who is from St. Louis, but she now lives in Phoenix, Arizona. And I asked Carolyn what she sees happening here.
I've seen an increase of laws that aren't abided by, especially for people who are driving cars, running red lights and not adhering to the rules that I think should be set up for people to stop at red lights and follow the rules instead of running a red light. And I see it continuously in the city, and it's getting worse every time I come to visit. So I'm a little concerned about my safety.
That's somebody who doesn't live here, but does pay attention to what's going on. Carolyn, by the way, was the person who knew of Gardner, but couldn't think of her last name.
Yeah.
So she knew who it was, and she has been paying some attention from afar.
Yeah. I spoke to a woman who was walking her dog in Clayton the other day as well. Do you know who Kim Gardner is?
Yes, I do.
You do? Have you been following the issues with the circuit attorney?
Not in great detail.
And then when you think of the city of St. Louis, do you consider crime to be less of an issue, more of an issue, or about as you feel that it's portrayed in the media?
More of an issue.
And how do you feel about the direction the city is going? Is it important to you? Do you not care so much since you're in the county?
It's extremely important because I think the county is heavily dependent on how well the city does. I think they work together or they don't work together. I have friends who don't want to have any knowledge whatsoever of the city. I would like to I should pay more attention to what's going on in the city than I do. Unfortunately, I think most of us feel like it's so dysfunctional that it's just a mess and probably don't engage in paying attention as much as we probably should. I have friends who just would not even consider going out to a restaurant in the city, which is a shame. Many in West County or even Kirkwood who just have written the city off. I have not. I love the city.
So it was very windy that day. But yeah, she lives on the city limits. She follows what's going on in the city, even though she said she wished she did follow it more closely. And just talking at length, yeah, it feels like the further you are from the city, the further you want it to be from your concerns.
I think that's true. You really are more concerned about your immediate area.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes for everything. It's not just where you live, physically where you live. It's the people in your life that you tend to care more about, who's in your house, who your friends are, what's going on with them, your family. But strangers, maybe you don't necessarily care all that much. I think that's true for a lot of things.
So then I went running, and Forest Park is one of my favorite places in the world. And I spoke to a volunteer at Forest Park. Okay, I am here in Forest Park, specifically the Visitor Center, and I'm with a volunteer here in Forest Park. So you volunteer in Forest Park. You're pretty much here every day.
No, I'm usually here on Sunday afternoons, every Sunday afternoon, but I filled in for somebody else today in addition.
Do you live in St. Louis City or St. Louis County?
Actually, I live just outside Kimmswick.
Do you know who Kim Gardner is?
No.
What about the name Tashara Jones?
Oh, that's political and government, city of St. Louis problem.
Have you been keeping up at all with the controversy with the circuit attorney or anything like that in the city of St. Louis?
I've been trying not to because it's not pleasant. and I was most concerned with the girl that got hit and lost her legs, because I know from working the convention center, the volleyball thing was it's very important to St. Louis as an income generator.
So do you feel safe personally going downtown?
No, because I'm little and old.
Okay. What a nice lady.
She was super nice. And it was not what I was expecting, the volunteer. And she was awesome. But just being in Forest Park, being within the city limits, I guess maybe I assumed she would have been following it more closely. It's awesome that she lives in Kimmswick, makes the drive to Forest Park. And as it turns out, she volunteers a lot in the city. She volunteers for the Mardi Gras in Soulard, the Mardi Gras party. She volunteers for the St. Patrick's Day parade. She's downtown all the time. But it was interesting that she said, I try not to pay attention to what's going on in the city because it's messy.
That's, I think, what a lot of people, how they feel.
Yeah.
They just, well, let's be honest. In a lot of cases, people just don't really like to pay attention to unpleasant news generally. And a lot of the news that happens here, and part of it's our fault because there are some good things happening in the city, but it's the unpleasant stuff that tends to dominate. And when that's what we talk about a lot. Well, a lot of people don't want to hear it. They don't want to get involved in that way. And I can't say I blame them. It's just that we are not going to get any better unless we tackle it. Unless we hit it head on. There are more parts of conversations that we're going to get to and bring to you later on in the show, because I thought there was some good insight from people around the area that we have not yet heard, and we'll do that as the show goes on. This is KMOX. It is Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji. Did you see this is next on the show?
Show me hope, St. Louis, because the stress and anxiety following disasters can be challenging. Show me hope, St. Louis, because you are never alone. Show me hope, St. Louis, because resources from the Missouri Department of Mental Health are available to help you manage stress and get the support you need. If you are impacted by the recent floods in St. Louis, the Show Me Hope Crisis Counseling Program is here with support for yourself or a loved one. Find local providers at moshowmehope.org.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. March marks the beginning of spring, and warmer temperatures means you can do more outside. Hang your clothes outside to dry instead of using the dryer. Not only will you save electricity, but your clothes will get that fresh outdoor scent. It's also a great time to walk or bike to destinations that are close by instead of driving. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
St. Louis Public Library wants to take you to prom. You can have an evening of fun reliving your favorite high school memories. Dig out your really great retro duds and join the library and me, Johnny Rabbit, for an evening of dancing and memory making while recognizing individuals making a difference in your community and celebrating Prom Magazine. Prom at SLPL is Friday, March 31st, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. at Central Library, downtown St. Louis. Tickets are on sale now. Visit slpl.org. for details.
Spring is the perfect time for a refresh, and at Ashley, you'll find the pieces you love. Shop now with financing options for every budget. Get 60 months no interest with no down payment. Ashley's biggest event of the year is going on now. Shop hot deals starting at $199. Plus, shop Ashley Sleep Doorbuster mattresses. Your choice Comfort Queen mattress, now only $399. Text 79975 to schedule your appointment today. The Orange event is happening now. In-store only at Ashley.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed-rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online, and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR and include a 0.5% autopay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
It's kickoff time, St. Louis. Shop Rally House for the best selection of St. Louis City SC gear as your new team takes the pitch during their inaugural season.
Cardinals, Blues, Missouri State, Tigers, Billikens, don't be late. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Shop St. Louis City SC in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from thegelmanteam.com. If you need to sell your home to buy a new one, it's never been more important to have an experienced negotiator that you can trust. You need my friends Mark and Neil Gelman on your side fighting for every last dollar. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
Prepare an emergency kit, sign up for local alerts, and make a family communications plan. Get started today at ready.gov/plan. A public service message brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is the show. The show continues on KMOX.
Did you see that thing? I can't believe it. Something is obviously wrong.
This is a joke, right?
Oh my God. Are you freaking kidding me? No way.
You gotta be kidding me.
Don't feel bad. There's no way you could have known that.
Now, did you see this with Chris and Amy on the show?
What you got, Mark's Course?
All right, Ron. I don't know if you heard the rumbling yesterday that future Hall of Fame quarterback Tom Brady
Still with this guy.
would be pursuing a second career, not in the broadcast booth, but also as a stand-up comedian.
Oh, come on, dude.
Right? That sounds so awful. Okay, so apparently he's not pursuing stand-up comedy. He is, however, pursuing a roast as a Netflix special with a working title of The Greatest Roast of All Time. So he has hosted Saturday Night Live before. That was back in 2005. But people yesterday were under the impression that Tom Brady was going to pursue a career as a stand-up comedian, which sounds
horrible.
Horrible.
He has no personality.
That's what I feel.
He either has no personality or he intentionally hides his personality publicly. And he wanted to remain vanilla his entire playing career,
Which
and he
did.
successfully did it.
He successfully became somehow the greatest quarterback of all time and the most boring person. I know a lot of people say, I didn't agree with George Bush, but man, I'd like to get a beer with that guy. I have no desire to have a beer with Tom Brady. First of all, he wouldn't drink it. He doesn't.
Did they make avocado beer?
Drink anything, that would cause inflammation. Anyway, he seems like a real drag, is what I'm saying. But maybe he's more fun now. I don't know.
Did you know that T.I. is a stand-up comedian?
I did not.
You know T.I.
Is he like a rapper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a stand-up comedian, and what does he go by now? He goes by I can't remember. He's got a new
Okay.
name.
What kind of stand-up comedian would Tom Brady have been? Edgy?
Here's what he would have been, like a Stephen Wright type,
No.
like where he would just have one-liners.
Blasphemy.
I'm not
Stephen
saying he
Wright
would be
and
as
Mitch
good.
Hedberg are geniuses.
Yeah, I'm not saying he'd be as good as them. I'm saying that's what he would do.
I feel like his stand-up comedy would be all self-referential, like joking about divorcing Giselle and joking about not eating nightshades.
You mean like how Pete Davidson, his jokes are now about Ariana Grande?
Oh, are they?
Yeah,
Why does he look so tired all the time?
it probably is.
That guy looks like he needs to take a nap. Every time I see Pete Davidson, I think, wow, he looks so tired. He looks like he needs a good night's sleep and a little bit of sunshine. My guess is he gets neither of those, ever.
I wonder if he's a big drug guy.
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, this is John Mulaney.
Yeah, you love John Mulaney.
I love John Mulaney. When he went into rehab recently, there was an intervention with Bill Hader, Greg, Armisen.
Fred Armisen.
Fred Armisen's. Like all those guys were there, Saturday Night Live crew, with a huge intervention for John Mulaney. But John Mulaney, apparently Pete Davidson changes his number all the time, and John Mulaney put Pete Davidson's number in his phone as like Al Pacino. And so Pete Davidson was apparently very concerned that when John Mulaney went into rehab, that everybody would blame Pete Davidson for getting him back on drugs. So what happened was John Mulaney was in rehab and his phone rang and it said Al Pacino, and the nurse said, Al Pacino's calling you, and he answered it and said, no one's going to think that you got me hooked on drugs. And he never corrected the nurse and let her know that it was Pete Davidson and not Al Pacino.
That's kind of awesome.
I know.
I love that happened to him. Amy Marks Kors,
Yeah.
what should we do next? Should we talk to Benjamin Auten?
Yeah.
I think we will. When we come back, Benjamin Auten will join us on the show on KMOX.
Manor Grove has been caring for seniors for over a century. Everyone at Manor Grove is treated like family, and that's exactly how our residents should feel, like family. Our staff strives to make Manor Grove feel like home. Be assured, your loved one will be well taken care of at Manor Grove. The entire Manor Grove team views everyone inside as family and looks forward to seeing residents and coworkers every day. See for yourself at manorgrove.com and take our virtual tour. Welcome home to Manor Grove.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 38,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Roger, tell us about your experience working with 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
We just had a very fine experience with the work that 3-Day Kitchen and Bath had done on our home. They had taken out walls and put in a new kitchen and a new bath and did it in an extremely timely manner with some of the finest workers that we've been associated with. Easy to work with. They did what we asked them to do. And each of the subs that they had, whether it was putting in the bath, the shower stalls, and they came in a timely manner. The plumber was here on time. The electricians were here when they said they would be here, and things just worked out really well for us. And I've done it myself, and it'll probably take me 2 years.
It's about time.
3 days or less.
At 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
KMOX, KEZK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jewels on Hampton your first stop. Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 11 o'clock, we've got some sun, some clouds, 61 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour. Reacting to the rising number of traffic incidents resulting in injury or death in the city and the region, Mayor Tashara Jones last hour scheduled to sign a bill that's dubbed the largest ever investment in road and pedestrian safety in St. Louis. There have been calls to narrow roads in an attempt to force drivers to slow down and drive intentionally. A House panel is hearing today about the nation's fentanyl crisis, as CBS News correspondent Cammie McCormick reports.
The president should immediately declare a national security and public health emergency.
Retired DEA agent Derek Maltz was one witness, and he said the U.S. should be taking more action at the southern border of this country.
In my view, fentanyl is a chemical weapon, and the narco terrorists in Mexico are destroying our country. They need to be held accountable, even if it means using our U.S. military.
Fentanyl has become the leading cause of death for Americans 18 to 45, according to the CDC, and most of the drugs enter through the southern border.
House Republicans are moving to give President Biden the authority to ban TikTok, but not everybody agrees. CBS's Allison Keyes has more.
The House Foreign Relations Committee has voted to approve the measure sponsored by Republican Chair Michael McCaul to grant Mr. Biden new powers to ban TikTok nationwide. McCaul says,
TikTok is a threat to our national security.
But Democratic Congressman Greg Meeks thinks the measure is too broad.
You have over 100 million people basically on TikTok. We want to make sure we get this right.
The ACLU says the measure would violate users' First Amendment rights. Allison Keyes, CBS News, Washington.
Some Americans will now find it more difficult to buy food. CBS's Nancy Chen tells us why.
Starting today, some 30 million people relying on the federal food stamp program will see their monthly benefits shrink by at least $95 and potentially more than $250 for others.
We anticipate a really significant uptick in the number of people who are going to visit us in the coming weeks.
Leslie Gordon is the president and CEO of Food Bank for New York City and says families already have few options, with food prices climbing more than 11% from just a year ago.
What will City Park sound like on Saturday? The crowd is sure to be loud, but what about the music? Mohammed Mastermind Austin is in charge of that.
When you think about music and you think about soccer, you combine both of those two together and you can help create an actual experience.
Mastermind says don't expect the Mexican hat dance on the Jumbotron.
This is the first time that our franchise is existing. So what I'm here to do is to synthesize the energies of the people here in St. Louis, the heartbeat of the people.
The first ever home game for City is against Charlotte Saturday night, and you can hear it on Y98. The KMOX Business Desk, fail well.
It's the latest outage for Twitter since Elon Musk took over the company and fired thousands of workers. Users reported there were problems loading the service today. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
And the Dow from Stifel is up 72 points to 32,728. We've got a stalled vehicle 6440 East at Maryville Center on the right shoulder. Emergency vehicle 6440 East at Winghaven. The left lane is closed. And also 64 East at Timberlake Manor. There, the right lane is closed. And we've also got stalled vehicle 64 East at Lindbergh. There, the left lane is closed.
KMOX AccuWeather upper 60s with some sunshine this afternoon. It is going to be beautiful. Colder down the mid-30s tonight. Cooler tomorrow. Some showers maybe south of the city, high 55. And then tomorrow night into Friday, rain and rumbles. Temperatures near 50, then falling. May end as a little snow shower activity Friday night. Not a bad weekend, upper 50s. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dean DeVore, the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Sponsored by Champion Floors. It's 60 in Florissant, 59 St. Peter's, and 61 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Champion Floor Company is known for their customer service. It's a big reason why they've been serving the community for 34 years. If you're looking to replace your flooring, schedule an appointment at championfloor.com. Champion Floor, delivering excellence every day.
The show, sponsored by the Cardinals. Cardinal tickets for 2023 are on sale now and start at just $6. Info at cardinals.com.
Boy, do we love your interaction. 314-436-7900. Calls, texts, those are the ways that you can do whatever the thing is with that number. Those are the things you can do with that number. Call it, text it, I don't care. Do whatever you want. We'd love to hear your voice if you want to do that. We are trying to hook up with Benjamin Auten, not that way, but he's a co-founder of Single Wave Technologies, has some insight on China and TikTok, which is now being banned on government devices in Canada. They're trying to do the same thing here in the United States, and we'll talk about what the security risks are there with Benjamin. If we can get a hold of him, that will be coming up on the show.
Meanwhile, I saw a post on Twitter from Grace Panetta. She's a reporter, among other things. She had worked with Insider Politics, and she is a politics reporter. And she just tweeted out that NYC Mayor Eric Adams seems to really have it out for Kansas. Now, what's funny is that in 2022, Eric Adams had said Kansas doesn't have a brand. He says, we have a brand, and when people see it, it means something. You know, when we go there, Kansas doesn't have a brand. When you go there, okay, you're from Kansas, but New York has a brand, and that brand means diversity. That's what Eric Adams was saying. I guess he was just giving an example of how New York is better than other states, and he picked Kansas. Well, he more recently was talking about being the mayor of New York, and he said, I strongly believe in all my heart, God said, I'm going to take the most broken person. I'm going to elevate him to the place of being the mayor of the most powerful city on the globe, Mr. Adams said on Tuesday. He could have made me the mayor of Topeka, Kansas. And it says the mayor of Topeka could not be reached for immediate comment. So it's kind of funny. Eric Adams keeps giving a hard time to Kansas. Catching a lot of flack.
I don't do much thinking about Kansas.
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I've always said that Kansas, like the slogan of Kansas is, welcome to Kansas, have fun in Colorado. Like that's why you drive through Kansas. I said it's also like the one night stand of states because it's got all the toll roads and everybody just goes to Kansas to spend the night on their way to somewhere else.
I had a good time in Lawrence. I've been there a couple of times. Yeah. Lawrence is fun.
And here's the thing. I can give crap to Kansas because I'm from Missouri.
Yeah.
St. Louis.
Well, now hold on.
Yeah.
People might say you have no business. If you're from Missouri, how dare you talk
because
crap
you can't
about Kansas?
Punch down. And honestly, I would say we're punching up.
At Kansas?
Yes. Kansas City is pretty rocking.
Kansas City is in Missouri.
That's true.
There is a Kansas City in Kansas, but that one doesn't count.
Yeah, I guess the downtown. I guess, yeah, if you count Kansas City as like...
all the teams are in this state.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. If you count Kansas City as not the rival to St. Louis, but as the sister city to St. Louis, I guess I always consider it as the rival.
We are joined now by Benjamin Auten, the co-founder of Single Wave Technologies. We mentioned TikTok and its security risks and what it means for us, what it means for Canada. Benjamin joins us now on KMOX. Hello, Benjamin.
Hey, how's it going today? Glad to be on with you guys.
Well, we are glad to have you. So let's start with what's happening in this country first, as far as TikTok goes and the government devices and whether or not it'll be allowed on them anymore.
Yeah, it's certainly a big debate these days, just with the sheer amount of data collection, especially from the Chinese government. These tools like TikTok or other types of software, just can have some things embedded in them, and they can learn a lot about our businesses, a lot about our people. And as the competition and conflicts kind of heat up around the world, it's definitely become more concerning.
Well, and now Canada joins the United States and the EU in banning TikTok from government issued devices because of national security concerns. With the EU, with Canada, with the United States, I imagine this is just the beginning of maybe the EU and North America really putting its foot down on the access that China, through its technology, through its apps, has to the government and then soon the citizenry of those countries.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people don't realize that in these apps, they're able to collect data like your GPS location, your network location, the device that you're using. They can analyze the images to get an idea of, a military base if it's in a TikTok issue, for example. And that's where it just really gets concerning, is they're able to just get their hands on some of these sensitive information. And it's typically coming through something that a lot of people think is pretty harmless, posting a funny TikTok video, that sort of thing.
So is it possible for it to be okay? Because my feeling on this would be, all right, I don't really care. I don't really have much to hide. Whatever China gets from me, big deal. I'm not too worried about it. But could there be repercussions or dangers for other people if you have TikTok on your phone, or if a lot of people have TikTok downloaded onto their phone, and if they're in certain places causing a security risk? Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, for the average citizen, there's still some reason to be concerned. I'd especially speak to business leaders in, competitive industries with China. We've had one client before where they showed up to a trade show, and a Chinese competitor was able to almost perfectly copy their product. So there can be different uses like that for that data that even the average citizen should probably be a bit sensitive to that data collection.
Yeah, and a lot of people have said, well, it's already out there, and if China wants to watch me go to Deerbergs and back, or watch me go to work and back, I don't really care. And it's interesting because what I've seen is that the threat is not so much to most individuals. It's not the individual threat that China cares that I'm going to the farmer's market on Saturday, but it's that when you scale it up to hundreds of millions of people in the United States using TikTok, China has access to really detailed population and societal trends and behaviors that could really be leveraged against us if, whether they want to mess with elections, they want to put any of their propaganda into society as a whole. They really have insight into our behaviors.
Yeah, and learning those behaviors has become more able to be analyzed. There's a lot of talk of ChatGPT right now that really is just a first kind of small AI model if you really dig into it, where it doesn't analyze a lot of data. But nation states are using these types of models to analyze population trends. And we've already seen and been concerned about influences on our elections, influences on our democratic systems. And them knowing your habits, knowing your routine, makes it a lot easier to run some of those psychological operations that may try and influence our political processes in the future. And that's where, you putting your data out may not seem individually harmful, but definitely as a collective country could become a larger issue.
Benjamin Auten from Single Wave Technologies, co-founder there, visiting with us on KMOX. What about other apps? Is there anything else that is popular, maybe not quite as popular as TikTok, but is still considered a risk of some kind, and maybe we shouldn't have on our phones?
Yeah, I think in terms of other types of equipment, there always can be fake applications. So be really careful when you're downloading a phone app. to make sure that it's legitimate. We've seen that before with some Chinese actors where they will spoof like a Candy Crush or some sort of game or something along those lines. And that will, can actually compromise your phone and lead to data collection. The other thing that could be concerning is what type of networking equipment you buy. So if you buy kind of an off-the-shelf router to power your Wi-Fi at home, we've seen some of these devices that are Chinese brand that are actually used in things like botnets or other sorts of concerning applications. So being careful with the networking home Wi-Fi you buy, making sure that's a reputable brand, and being careful what apps you actually end up putting on your phone.
So if you have a reputable brand, you're talking like the TP-Link and the Netgear and stuff like that, right? I mean, are there any names of ones that are questionable that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, like one company, Huawei, has historically had some issues. The FBI has been concerned about it. So that would be a top brand to be cautious around.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Didn't even think about that. You mentioned the Chat GPT and not just that. There's the AI that you can put in. I think it's 11 Labs is the name of the company, where you can put in type. You put in words, and it will give you back audio of somebody talking. Like you can make me say anything. You can make Amy or you say anything just by writing it into the box, and then it spits it back out. We've been playing around with that in the office, and all you have to do is upload a few seconds of audio of a person saying anything, and you can make Joe Biden say anything, or Ron DeSantis, or us, and it's alarming. There have to be potential dangers here down the road, right?
Yeah, I mean, just being cautious about believing content that's put out there. I mean, we've already seen viral posts on, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok that have actually turned out to be fake, to be an impersonator. And some of those were actually around the conflict in Ukraine right now, where they were spoofing Putin or spoofing other nation state actors. And, it was just surprising the level of believability that some of those had. And as skeptical as we all are of the internet, I think we even need to grow more skeptical of just receiving our data from reputable sources, and making sure that we're not able to fall victim to some of these things. And we actually are seeing a rise in audio-based spoofing, where they can't get you to click on a link anymore, but they might call you up and try and get you to hand over your password through simulating a voice that you might be familiar with.
Oh my that's gosh. Really dangerous.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so good luck with all that. Benjamin Auten, we appreciate the information today. Thanks for visiting with us.
Yeah, I hope everyone stays safe out there. Thanks for having me on.
Benjamin Auten, co-founder of Single Wave Technologies. So now you have to be mindful of getting a phone. And by the way, they can make it look like they're calling from a number that's not theirs. So
the audio,
be very mindful of that stuff.
The audio deep fake terrifies me.
Me too.
We probably talked about this already, but you and Andrew, being the unsavory,
people that we are,
scrupulous characters that you are,
right?
They made an audio of my voice.
I didn't. Andrew did it.
Andrew did.
Andrew with the Dave Glover show.
Of me just cussing out Ranji with words that I would
and
never
it sounds
use.
Exactly like you.
It sounds exactly like me. I was listening to it and I thought it was me. And all they need, because this technology is so advanced, they need 20 seconds of voice audio. And of course, with me, that's easy to find. We also made you a MAGA conservative.
I am now a Make America Great Again conservative.
Yeah.
So
like
it was a very quick turnaround for me.
Yeah. Anyway, I personally find it terrifying.
Also, Amy, you have pissed off Kansas.
What?
A texter.
I was standing up for Kansas.
A texter says, "Watch it," in all caps.
Yeah.
40-year citizen of Missouri, but born in Kansas, you're treading on ground that might trigger an attack of the flying monkeys. Don't mess with Kansas.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
start making your own bread.
Oh, yeah. That's okay. First of all,
Well,
I started
They're not
by
making the bread over there. They're just giving us the wheat.
The wheat.
We're making the bread.
I
Haven't you heard of St. Louis Bread Company?
started by defending Kansas.
No, you didn't.
I did. I
You
said
crapped all over
I
'em.
said if we made fun of Kansas, it's because we're punching up. You're the one that said, well, Kansas City is technically in Missouri. And I said, okay, that's right. So yeah, I said that as a Missourian, I can joke about Kansas because I'm from Missouri. It's rude if you're from New York. What is Eric Adams' problem? Why does he hate Kansas so much? He's in New York City. No one's comparing Kansas to New York City.
Just be thankful he didn't use Missouri, okay? Just be thankful he's
Listen.
not talking about our state. Hey, we got to go to break. I know. Well, if you hadn't made Kansas angry, we wouldn't be here.
I was standing up for Kansas.
Amy Marks-Core's Kansas hater, Chris Ranji on the show.
Saving St. Louis, a special report Thursday night at 9. Saving St. Louis, we go in depth in a simulcast with our television partners at Fox 2 News. Saving St. Louis is about the crime, poverty, and blight that threatens our city. How can we save St. Louis? Listen Thursday night at 9 on KMOX.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack. So they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. For spring cleaning, make your own cleaning products from baking soda and vinegar. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Need to sell your home, but not willing to play the wait and see game? This is Debbie Monterey with Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. With Gloria Liu, you have seller options to choose from, including a no-obligation cash offer from one of Gloria Liu's cash buyers. It's simple, straightforward, and in many cases, you can receive a cash offer in less than 24 hours. No more wait and see game. And you can even pick the closing date. With Gloria Liu and her cash offer program, you are always in control. Not ready for the cash offer? No problem. Gloria Liu has a guaranteed sold program that states Gloria will sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she will buy it herself, guaranteed in writing. Gloria has solutions and options for every seller. So call today and ask about Gloria's no obligation cash offer program or the guaranteed sold program, 314-325-6888, or online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Quarters, just 25 cents. That's hardly anything, right? But Ken and Lori Heisey and their team at Heisey Advisory Group see quarters a little bit differently. A quarter is a lot when it's a quarter of your retirement savings. Do you want to pay 25% or more in taxes during your retirement? Ken and Lori can create a plan to help address taxes in retirement. And if the only time you think about taxes is when you file them, you do not have a tax strategy. But it's not too late to get one with help from Ken and Lori Heisey. Act now to make sure you're not paying a quarter, a dime, even a penny more than you should. Call Ken and Lori Heisey and the team at Heisey Advisory Group at 314-328-4400 to schedule your personalized strategy session. A quarter saved is a quarter earned. Call 314-328-4400. Call them now. That's 314-328-4400.
Firm cannot give tax advice. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor, and Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. AEWM and Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC are not affiliated companies.
Trusted information, live and local. From the award-winning KMOX Newsroom.
It's the show on KMOX. Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji. Amy, it happened again.
It's unbelievable.
Again.
Unbelievable.
Another near miss on a runway at an airport. Happened in Boston this time, a JetBlue flight.
At Logan.
At Logan Airport.
It happened at Logan International Airport.
A couple of days ago, almost ran into a departing private jet as it was coming into land. This happened on February 27th. There have been 5 of them now.
Yeah.
There was this one. There was the one in Burbank that happened. And when I say 5, I mean 5 in 2023. We are 2 months in. We are just now into March. So we're really 2 months into the year. Austin, it happened. Honolulu, it happened.
JFK.
There was the one at JFK with the FedEx plane. What in the world is going on here? Please tell me this is not common.
I know. I hope this is like, what do they call it? The Dunning-Kruger, where once you notice a phenomenon, you notice something like red cars or, 1234, the time that you see it all the time. I don't know.
Isn't that when you think the less you know, the more you think you know
maybe
about
that's
it?
Dunning-Kruger.
I think that's Dunning-Kruger.
Which is funny if it is. There's another effect that is when you notice something. At any rate, here's what happened on Monday. An air traffic controller told the pilot of a Learjet to line up and wait on the runway. Then the JetBlue flight would land. However, the Learjet pilot, even though he read back the instructions clearly, he began to take off instead. And the FAA, quote, the pilot of the JetBlue aircraft took evasive action and initiated a climb out as the Learjet crossed the intersection. One of the passengers said, yeah, that was the quickest I've ever gone back up into the air, so I kind of figured something was wrong.
God.
Oh my gosh.
This cannot be more common than we realize, right? Or is it just now that we are paying attention because the one incident happened, it made the news, and now we're on the lookout for it, like you said. I hope this is a thing where it's just the last 2 months, a lot of craziness have happened.
It's the Bader-Meinhof effect.
Bader-Meinhof, one of the hyphen things.
Yes, and Dunning-Kruger is when you think you know more than you do. The Bader-Meinhof is the frequency illusion.
Because you start paying attention to it.
So this was a big one, a Bader-Meinhof that a lot of people noticed, 9/11. Once 9/11 happened, they would notice the time, they would notice the numbers 9/11 all the time. At any rate, I feel like this is bad for the air traffic controllers.
It is.
And
I've
airline passengers.
A friend of mine is a pilot. I'm not going to name the company he works for, but he is a commercial airline pilot. I've reached out to him. I want to know. I hope that he has not responded to me because he's busy paying attention and steering the plane. So.
Does it rhyme with like schmelta or Shamerican?
What's wrong with you? It might rhyme with Schmouthwest. I don't know. Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji. We're going to talk to Greg Stohr about the Supreme Court and student loan forgiveness. That is next on KMOX.
It was heard live on KMOX.
An absolutely wild news conference by Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner that devolved into a rally.
And what did Dave Glover think about it?
Personally, my initial response is that was so much worse than I could have ever dreamt. This is one of the most embarrassing days in the history of St. Louis politics. What an embarrassing joke that entire thing was. My only solace is that anyone with half a brain out there listening or watching can see through this.
Dave Glover speaks his mind.
There's no way that just happened.
Weekdays beginning at 1 on KMOX.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
For garage door repair, St. Louis calls the real Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. They're the ones with the red ribbon. They're the ones who've been here since 1926. Others try to copy the name, but they cannot match the level of service. The red ribbon means 94 years of trust and loyalty from St. Louis homeowners. Always look for the red ribbon. It means you've got the genuine, the original Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Call 314-781-5200.
When choosing a skilled nursing memory care community, choose Park Provence. Considered by U.S. News and World Reports as a best memory care community for nearly 20 years, they've been the experts at treating dementia and Alzheimer's disease. If you're faced with making a difficult decision for your loved one, talk to the leaders at memory care at Park Provence. Learn more by calling 314-542-5200 or visit parkprovence.com. That's PARC Provence.com.
At 11:30, see some sun and clouds and 62 degrees downtown at the Arch. In Kansas City, Missouri, a standoff at a home where 3 police officers were shot and wounded while executing a search warrant. Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves says
their injuries are non-life threatening, and right now I'm just thankful for that.
2 people have been taken into custody. Drug company Eli Lilly says it will reduce the price of some of its most commonly prescribed insulins by 70%. CBS News medical contributor Dr. David Agus.
Patients many times have been required to ration the use of insulin because they can't afford the actual amount that would be optimal. And there's been a lot of talk from the White House and from patient groups about this unaffordable cost of insulin. You can get predatory practice by pharmaceutical or biotechnology companies to raise the prices.
Six Flags St. Louis has a new roller coaster it bills as a family ride. It's called Rookie Racer, themed with Formula One race cars. A lower height restriction means younger thrill seekers will now have a coaster to ride with a horizontal loop. The park says Rookie Racer is not a kiddie coaster. It should be ready to go this summer. We've got emergency vehicles 270 south, or rather 270 north at Dorset. Also a stalled vehicle 6440 going east at Maryville Center. And also emergency vehicles on 64 east at Winghaven have the left lane closed. Dean DeVore says a high today 68 degrees. Sun mixes with clouds, even warmer than yesterday. For tonight, a little colder with a low 36. For tomorrow, some clouds, maybe some showers south of the city with a high of 55. At the moment, we do have sun, and it's currently 62 degrees downtown at the Arch. It's 63 in Florissant, 64 in St. Peters. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com. Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Hi, I'm Christina Straight, owner of Straight Realty. Did you know that you can list your home with a full-service real estate brokerage for only 4%? Straight Realty is licensed in Missouri, and we would love to talk to you about a winning strategy to get your home sold while saving you money. Call us at 314-441-4444, 314-441-all-4s. Call us at 314-441-4444. Why pay more than 4?
I'm Dakota Hudson. I'm Jordan Hicks. I'm Cardinals pitcher Jock Flaherty. I'm Tommy Edman. I'm Cardinals outfielder Jordan Walker. I'm Paul DeYoung. I'm Woodson Contreras. I'm Adam Wainwright, and you're listening to the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on the show. It is KMOX. A happy Wednesday to you. We've got the Dave Glover Show coming up at 1 o'clock. Amy and I hang out with Dave and Kevin, Andrew, Rachel. We'll have a good time today on Wednesday. This week has been a big week for a number of different reasons. Everybody knows now about the student loan forgiveness executive order that was issued by President Joe Biden, wanting to forgive student loan debt for a lot of people. Well, there's been a lot of pushback against that, and now it's being heard by the Supreme Court. Joining us to talk about that is Greg Stohr from Bloomberg News, a Supreme Court reporter who visits with us on KMOX. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Chris.
Where do we stand right now? What's happening at this very moment?
Well, at this very moment, I think the justices are having lunch, and maybe they're even talking about the case, but I think they try to avoid talking about the case at lunch. The court heard about 3.5 hours of argument yesterday, and they'll take a preliminary vote on how the case is going to come out, but we probably won't know about that for several months, maybe even not until the end of June, which is when the term ends.
It's interesting. So Chief Justice John Roberts yesterday quoted former Justice Antonin Scalia. He was referencing the French Revolution and how the French Revolution, quote unquote, modified the status of the French nobility, how that was an understatement. And he said, when you're talking about $500 billion being canceled, affecting 43 million Americans, he's not sure how that fits under the verb modifying. And so he questioned that. At the same time, you had Justices Amy Coney Barrett and Ketanji Brown Jackson both questioning the standing of the plaintiffs. So it seems like I'm a little confused here of which way the court is leaning, saying the president doesn't have the power to cancel debt. However, the plaintiffs don't have the standing to claim injury.
Yeah, that's at least a possible outcome. So what I heard yesterday was the court's conservatives being very skeptical that the administration, the education department, and the president have the authority to do this without clear congressional authorization. That word modify is in a statute that was passed in 2003. It says basically that the Secretary of Education can waive or modify provisions involving student loans in response to a national emergency so that people aren't in a worse position. And so there's the substantive question of whether forgiving for what some people will be as much as $20,000 in debt, whether that is something that falls under that provision. But there is that threshold question that you alluded to, whether anybody has the right to challenge this. So the general rule is you have to show that you're injured by some sort of policy in order to sue. And so one group of plaintiffs are a number of states, including Missouri, that say we would actually be hurt. There's a fiscal effect on us in part through this loan servicer that is the state of Missouri set up that would lose some of its accounts. And there certainly there's an argument by the administration that that's not enough to give the states standing to sue. And of the conservatives, one of them, Amy Coney Barrett, who you mentioned, suggested she might agree with that argument.
That's the question for a lot of people is the states are arguing that they could be negatively impacted by this, but the federal government says these are federal loans. Pell Grants are federal student loans. So how can they say that it's going to negatively impact them because it's not coming from them? These loans are not coming directly from the states.
Yeah, so the states have several different arguments there. The main one focuses on MOHELA, which is a Missouri entity. It's a loan servicer set up by the state. It's a separate legal entity from the state, and it's not actually involved in this case. But Missouri and the other states argue it would lose, I think they said more than half of its accounts because people would no longer have loans that need to be serviced. And MOHELA does have an obligation under Missouri law to pay some money into the Missouri State Treasury for educational projects. And so the states say, hey, this may make it less likely that MOHELA can actually do this, and that's the harm to us. And so what the court has to sort out is whether that's enough to let them challenge this policy.
Yeah, with MOHELA, the Missouri Higher Education Loan Authority, they, as you mentioned, would lose nearly half of its revenue, which would sap state scholarship funds. And it was specifically MOHELA that Amy Coney Barrett and Ketanji Brown Jackson questioned, saying, okay, well, if the injury is primarily to MOHELA, why is the state filing the suit and not MOHELA itself?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is one of the arguments the states were making, that they were sort of rebutting there, this idea that MOHELA is an arm of the state. And there, as you said, was some skepticism from those two justices and Justices Sotomayor and Kagan, I think, as well about that. The question will be for the outcome of the case. I just named 4 justices. Can they get a 5th? And I didn't hear anything in the courtroom yesterday that suggested that any of the other Republican-appointed justices were buying that argument. So sometimes, people vote differently from the way they sound in the courtroom. We'll just have to see.
How much validity do you think there is with the idea this administration did this in the first place for political optics as opposed to actually trying to help people, knowing the Supreme Court was likely eventually going to strike this down?
That is probably more of a political point than a legal point, but those political points can matter to some degree. They're in the background. And, I think the justices may also look at the fact that the Biden administration, both Joe Biden as a candidate and then as president, was calling on Congress to do this. And the administration acted on its own only after Congress didn't do anything. And so that may be, some justices may look at that and say, hey, they kind of knew all along that they didn't have the authority to do this. They're only doing it now because, they need to do something to fulfill that campaign promise. That might be in the minds of some of the justices, whether or not that it actually appears in an opinion.
Right. Nancy Pelosi, even a couple of years ago, said that Joe Biden did not have the authority to cancel student loans. And as far as the HEROES Act goes, it was back in 2003, as you mentioned, really a response to 2011, the emergency situation there, students, people who were involved in military operations, the war, etc. John Boehner, who was Speaker of the House at the time and was part of the legislature drafting the HEROES Act, and he was saying, it was never intended for use to outright cancel loans. So you have some of the original drafters saying that this interpretation that the Biden administration is using is just far too broad.
Yeah, and the question will be with this court. This is a court that cares a lot more about the words of a statute than what some lawmaker says his or her intentions were. And so you kind of go back to those words, waive or modify some provision. Justice Elena Kagan on one side, on the liberal side, thought those words were really clear and gave the secretary the authority to do this. Some of the more conservative justices clearly didn't think so, but even like Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who I think was, had some very skeptical questions for the administration, but even he said, hey, that word waive, that's a really broad word. And so given this court's focus on the language, it's possible that they might discount what some of those lawmakers said about their intentions at the time and instead say, hey, it says waive, and that's what they're doing.
So is there anything else at this moment, Greg, we are paying close attention to what happens with student loans. A lot of people have a vested interest in it. I don't. My student loans are gone, but for a lot of people, they still matter. Is there anything else right now in terms of what's being heard now or what will be heard soon that you really think we need to be paying attention to?
Not in terms of court cases. The Biden administration, of course, still has that pause on payment obligations that's been in place since the Trump administration put it in place early on in the pandemic, and that's designed to last for a couple months after the Supreme Court decides this case. Eventually that's going to be lifted, and that could. I know some of our education reporters here have done some reporting on just how big of an impact that could be, because an awful lot of people who haven't been paying off student loans since the pandemic began are going to, one way or another, suddenly start to have to pay.
And when it comes to following the Supreme Court, as you mentioned, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments yesterday regarding this, but often when there are big decisions, big issues being made, even if the arguments are heard months before, you might not see those decisions issued until June.
Yeah, there's been a real tendency in recent years to issue most or all of the biggest decisions at the very end of June when the term ends. That could well be the case here. The only thing I'd sort of add into that is that this case has been expedited. They've already sort of shown that they understand that they need to move quickly because people need an answer one way or another. Maybe that will mean we get a decision a little bit before then. They do have some other, a whole number of other really big cases that they're deciding this term. So they can't decide them all on June 28th. They'll probably have to decide some of them earlier.
Greg, we appreciate your time today. And as always, we will talk again soon. Thank you for visiting with us.
Happy to do it. Good to talk to you.
That is Greg Stohr, Bloomberg News Supreme Court reporter with us here on KMOX. And it's always good to utilize Greg. There is a lot, and people have been paying very close attention to the Supreme Court, especially since last year and the overturning of Roe. And there seems to be a lot of, I guess, ambitious cases that might be heard here over the next several months. So it will be interesting to follow along with him. Amy Marks-Kors, Chris Ranji. When we come back, we're going to talk about Cardinals fans.
Oh, yeah, I have a question.
Amy has a question about Cardinals fans and why you are like you are.
Yeah, and we want to hear why you are like you are. 314-436-7900. You heard the question yet, but get your phones ready.
On KMOX.
Well, STL FenceWorks, speaking of getting ready to contact somebody, you'll want to contact STL FenceWorks at stlfenceworks.com. Here's the deal. The weather is changing, and now is the time to put in that new deck. You're going to want to have barbecues. You'll want to listen to Cardinal baseball. You want to have graduation parties, birthday parties, 4th of July. Now's the time to get that deck put in, or maybe you want a new fence. You want a little privacy. You really want to outline and define your backyard leisure space. STL FenceWorks is the company for you. They're locally owned and operated, family owned and operated, so you know that they care. And not only do they have expert craftsmen, but their lifetime warranty surpasses anything else in the industry. So you have that assurance and guaranteed. And oh, by the way, STL FenceWorks has made deeply discounted winter buys on vinyl fencing as well as aluminum fencing, so they can pass that savings on to customers. We're talking pre-pandemic costs, that's big savings. So you can get that project done in a timely manner. They have the materials and supplies on hand. You can rest assured that it's a family and locally owned company, and their lifetime warranty surpasses anything else in the industry. Go to stlfenceworks.com.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, regardless of age or past medical history, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Paramount Men's Medical Center. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free. Call now, 314-720-8081.
Spring is the perfect time for a refresh. And at Ashley, you'll find the pieces you love. Shop now with financing options for every budget. Get 60 months, no interest with no down payment. Ashley's biggest event of the year is going on now. Shop hot deals starting at $199. Plus, shop Ashley Sleep Doorbuster mattresses. Your choice Comfort Queen mattress, now only $399. Text 79975 to schedule your appointment today. The Orange event is happening now. In-store only at Ashley.
If you own a small business, you know the value of time. GetRefunds.com does too. That's why they've made it easy, no matter how busy you are, to apply for the Employee Retention Credit, or ERC. Go to Refunds.com to get started, and in less than 8 minutes, see if your business qualifies for ERC assistance. Your business may be eligible for a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee kept on payroll during COVID-19. GetRefunds.com has already helped clients claim over $3 billion in payroll tax refunds through the ERC, and they may be able to help your business too. There's no upfront charge either. They don't get paid until your business gets its refund. Many businesses believe they won't qualify based on incomplete or outdated information. So don't let this opportunity pass you by, because this payroll tax refund is only available for a limited time. Go to GetRefunds.com. That's GetRefunds.com.
When you hire your local CertaPro painters, you get
the power of a cut above.
Decades of expertise to transform your home, from so-so to virtuoso.
The power of neighborhood painters.
We live where you live and probably like the same pizza place you do. Put
the power of pro
to work for you today. Get your project started at CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
This is Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates. For the best eye doctors, you need to see the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. YourEyeDoc.com, 314-966-5000.
Stress and anxiety reactions following disasters can be challenging.
If you were impacted by the recent floods, show me hope because help is available. Find resources and local providers at moshowmehope.org. Brought to you by the Missouri Department of Mental Health.
The St. Louis City SC Visa credit card from Together Credit Union is available. Together Credit Union is the only place to find this official fan credit card, which offers so many fan perks and earns points on every purchase. Go to togethercu.org for details. Federally insured by NCUA.
Track your blood donations right from the palm of your hand and stay updated on special promotions. Download the American Red Cross Blood Donor app today. To learn more, go to redcross.org.
You know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this. The Show on KMOX.
Happy Wednesday, Amy. Happy Wednesday, St. Louis.
Thanks.
It a lot of enthusiasm there. You have a question about Cardinals fans?
Yeah, here's my question.
Okay.
Well, it's based on some statistics from 1,000 baseball fans who were surveyed.
I thought you were going to say from 1,000 years ago. Like, wow.
Yeah. So St. Louis Cardinals fans in this survey ranked as the 7th most annoying fans in Major League Baseball.
What survey was this? Who did it?
This was, well, now I'm pulling it up. Okay. Crestline, I'm not sure, but Crestline.
Sounds reputable.
Yeah, it sounds reputable. Looked at 1,000 fans. So
Okay.
number 1 annoying fans, New York Yankees, 2 Boston Red Sox, 3 Houston Astros, LA Dodgers, Philadelphia Phillies, Chicago Cubs, St. Louis Cardinals. So we're number 7. But here's what I find interesting. It doesn't surprise me that people find Cardinals fans annoying. But when you pair it with what people find to be the most annoying behavior, that doesn't describe Cardinals fans. So while Cardinals fans are the 7th most annoying fans, here are the most annoying fan behavior. 1, getting in fights at games. 2, bad sportsmanship. And 3, bandwagon fans. None of those descriptors apply to Cardinals fans, and yet Cardinals fans are disliked.
Okay. Are they measuring dislikability only on those factors,
Well-
or are they also asking the question about each team? Are these people
I think they're
unfavorable?
Yeah, they were separate
Okay.
questions
Okay.
because they also had the most annoying type of fan, which is fans that are always drunk, fans that are always negative, and fans that never stop yelling. And again, none of those are
None of
Cardinals
those
fans.
apply to Cardinals. Okay.
Yes.
Here's what it is then.
Okay. I know what it is too.
It's the best fans in baseball thing. That's the number one underlying thing about the Cardinals that everybody outside of St. Louis hates.
Mm-hmm.
They hate that it became that. And I get it. You know, I spent a lot of time away from here. And yeah, I was in Chicago with White Sox fans and Cubs fans. And Cubs fans naturally are going to hate everything about you because you're the number one rival.
Mhm.
But Sox fans don't care. They also kind of think that people here who are Cardinals fans are annoying. And in that city, it's not just Cubs and Cubs and Sox people. There's a lot of transplants. There are a lot of Tigers fans. There are, and I would get that too. Philadelphia fans. I know a lot of Philly fans up there. Twins fans. So I totally understand just being on the outside looking in why other people would not like that. Because their thinking is, well, who says you're a better fan than I am? Like, who says you're a smarter baseball fan because you clap for the opponent making a nice play? It doesn't mean you're a smarter fan. It just means you're showing a different appreciation, I guess. So I understand that. I know where that comes from. You know what? I also think that it might, in an indirect way, have a little to do with Joe Buck. And I love
Really?
Joe Buck. I think he's great. But there's a perception because he's from here and did all the national games that he was biased in favor of the Cardinals. But I never got that from his broadcast. But when
No.
people have that in their minds, they can't get rid of that. And he did baseball for over 20 years. the game of the week and then the World Series. So I think there's this feeling that here's this guy on top of the best fans in baseball thing, and it grates on people in a different way.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the best fans in baseball, because here's what I would always tell people. Cardinals fans aren't arrogant. It's just that we're better than you.
Yeah, see, that's it. That's why they want to punch you in the face.
That's exactly right. For what it's worth, they also did a list of the most annoying players and managers, and there are no Cardinals players or managers on the lists of most annoying players and most annoying managers. You want to guess who the most annoying manager is?
The most annoying manager, who would it be? I can't think of it.
Tony La Russa of the
He's
Chicago
not a manager anymore.
White Sox. Well, this is what it was voted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And you know who was voting on that? Sox fans.
Yeah.
They were the ones voting.
The most annoying players, Jose Altuve, number 1.
Oh, it's probably a bunch of Astros.
Bryce Harper, number 2.
Yeah.
Manny Machado, number 3. Aaron Judge, number 4. Carlos Correa, number 5.
I was going to guess Correa.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to guess that. So you got a couple of Astros and or former Astros.
And
Astros there.
As far as the most annoying managers, again, this list, I guess, is from last year and beyond. Tony La Russa, Aaron Boone, Alex Cora, Dusty Baker, Joe Girardi. Those are the top 5.
Aaron Boone. I can't imagine. I don't think he's like that. That's it. What an interesting thing.
Again, who knows where they got these 1,000 people?
Listen, I would be curious to know what Cardinals fans would be like, because it has been a very, very long time since it's been this way, where the team is not consistently good every year.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to be supportive of a team that is either in the playoffs every year or on the cusp of the playoffs every single year.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy to do that. But when your team wins 65 games one year and then 75 the next, and then maybe they win like 86 or 87, they're on the verge of the playoffs, and then the following year they're back to 70 wins. I wonder if Cardinals fans, just how supportive they would be now. There was a time where the team wasn't very good, but it's been a long time, and you have a new generation of people. Would they put up with that? I think there'd still be a lot of people going to Cardinals games, because it's the jewel of the city. That ballpark is the number one thing to do in St. Louis. But I wonder if there would be some drop off. If you starve baseball fans of winning, they're just not going to go.
And we got lucky in the 90s because we had Mark McGwire in the home run race that covered up for bad records.
Yeah, they were not great in 1998 either.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you're correct about that. But the aughts and the 2010s, all been very successful. And the 20s, pretty successful too. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji, you've got the show on KMOX.
All you gotta do is tell Paula. All you gotta do is tell Paula. An army of attorneys ready to serve. America's largest injury law firm. Fighting for full and fair compensation. Dial now for a free case evaluation. For your right, no fee unless we win. Best believe that we'll battle to the end. Dial pound law, that's all. Or log on to forthepeople.com. Come on, all you gotta do is tell Paula. Come on, all you gotta do is tell Paula.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Come on, all you gotta do is tell Paula.
Is your bank, brokerage, or your insurance company telling you to buy an annuity? They may have limited access to the best rates available. You need solutions, not someone pitching you a specific product. Call for your complimentary retirement and income book at 844-513-SAFE. That's 844-513-7233. And also join me, Ben Coons, for the Retirement and Income Radio Show, heard here every Saturday at 3 p.m. on KMOX Radio.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. March means spring cleaning, so clean out your old harsh cleaning products and replace them with products that are green certified. Better yet, make your own cleaning products using items like baking soda and vinegar. Also, get rid of hazardous materials such as paints, motor oil, and pharmaceuticals at proper disposal locations to keep them out of the water supply. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Caring for residents for over a century, Manor Grove is committed to making everyone feel at home. Choosing a home for your loved one to reside is an important decision and shouldn't be taken lightly. Manor Grove makes your decision easy with medical professionals and staff who care for residents like family. If you are looking for a caring and quality nursing home and rehab facility, please visit our website, manorgrove.com, and take our virtual tour. Manor Grove, over a century of caring. Welcome home to Manor Grove.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
It's kickoff time, St. Louis. Shop Rally House for the best selection of St. Louis City SC gear as your new team takes the pitch during their inaugural season.
Cardinals, Blues, Missouri State, Tigers, Billikens, don't be late. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Shop St. Louis City SC in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news, KMOX.
At 12 noon, we've got some clouds and 63 degrees downtown at the Arch. The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour. When it comes to Kim Gardner, some are calling for the circuit attorney to quit and others are not.
This is Kevin Killeen in North St. Louis. Mayor Tashara Jones sidestepping questions about whether it's time for circuit attorney Kim Gardner to resign.
I said what I needed to say about this situation last week, and I'm going to repeat that, which means that Attorney Gardner needs to, Circuit Attorney Gardner needs to do some soul searching on whether or not she wants to continue in this position, and the office needs improvement to make sure that they're serving the citizens of the city of St. Louis.
Also, the president of the Board of Aldermen, Megan Green, stopping short of calling for Gardner to quit. Green says it comes down to this. She doesn't want the Republican governor to have the power to appoint a replacement.
Transportation engineers are constantly looking at ways to move people and goods safely around crowded roads. Randy McCord is the past president of the Institute of Transportation Engineers. To those who speed through traffic trying to save time, he says it doesn't really work.
The difference in time of you speeding through a neighborhood versus just driving if you drove 25 through the neighborhood, your arrival time is substantively not changed. Even though in our mind it is, because we're accomplishing the task in our mind faster. But the reality is you're also putting a lot of folks at risk.
McCourt says drivers who speed just 10 miles over the speed limit increase the likelihood of a fatal crash from about 5% up to 50%. A blow to victims of so-called Havana syndrome from U.S. intelligence agencies. More from CBS's Steve Dorsey in Washington.
An intelligence report finds it's unlikely U.S. personnel in Havana, Cuba, and elsewhere around the world were attacked by a foreign adversary. Concussion-like brain injuries and symptoms, including hearing loss and dizziness, were first reported by U.S. diplomats and intelligence officers in Cuba in 2016. It's at odds with earlier findings from scientists, doctors, and experts convened by intelligence agencies that have suggested a type of energy weapon could have been the culprit.
Third time's the charm. That's at least what State Representative Sean Pouchet hopes as he tries again to push through a bill that would cap insulin and EpiPen prices in Missouri. A few years ago, a diabetic friend came to him,
and his insulin costs had gone up about 300% to 400% in the last few years. And he was just like, what in the world? And he was just like, can you find out anything about this after I elected? I'm like, well, let me dig into it.
His bill would cap the cost of a 30-day supply at $100. That amount could be adjusted yearly. Pouchet says he doesn't normally like to interfere with the free market, but says in this case, a few companies have a monopoly on the manufacturing and can hike prices to whatever they want. The KMOX Business Desk, labor, peace in the skies.
Delta pilots have approved a new contract that will give them a 34% pay hike over 4 years. They're the first pilots at a major carrier to finalize a post-pandemic deal. The Delta agreement is expected to set a standard for ongoing negotiations at other airlines. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Dow from Stifel's up 18 points to 32,675. And we've got a crash on 55 South at Imperial, Maine. The right lane is closed. Emergency vehicles 270 north at Dorset. Stalled vehicle 6440 going east at Maryville Center Drive. That's on the right shoulder. Also 64 east at Winghaven. The left lane's been closed.
An even warmer afternoon than yesterday. Highs in the upper 60s. Then it gets colder tonight than we woke up to this morning, mid-30s. Some showers south of the city, mid-50s, with some sunshine for the city northward. And then rain and thunder and wind tomorrow night into Friday. May turn over to some snow showers before ending Friday night. Highest temperature Friday around 50. And then back into the upper 50s this weekend with nice weather. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dean DeVore on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Sponsored by Champion Floors. It's partly cloudy and 63 in Florissant, 63 in St. Peters, and 63 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Refresh your space with new floors by Champion Floor Company. They offer ceramic, vinyl, carpet, and even natural wood floors that are sanded and finished. Schedule a free estimate at championfloor.com. Champion Floor, delivering excellence every day.
The show, sponsored by the Cardinals. Cardinal tickets for 2023 are on sale now and start at just $6. Info at cardinals.com.
Want to take a guess how we started the show? We talked about crime.
Yeah, and murder.
And we talked about Amy's credit card being stolen out of her purse here at Odyssey St. Louis.
We did. So I ran into Brett of Julie and Brett in the morning on Y98.
The home of St. Louis City SC.
That's
by the
exactly
way.
right.
Well, so are we too.
And I told Brett that I may have accused Julie, Tristan, and Brett of stealing my credit card and buying things from our little workplace, marketplace, slash, what is it? A little refrigerator?
Yeah, it's like
a market.
Where you get snacks and you get
Yeah.
sandwiches. You can get all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it was either them or Andrew, because somebody on January 27th took my credit card and spent like $40 at this little.
In a bunch of separate transactions.
Yes. $4, $7,
Yep.
$8, $4 on a single day. And I can tell you this, I have purchased value turkey in my day, and I have bought a bag of peanut M&Ms in my day. I have not spent $40 at that machine at the marketplace. Oh, we have a delivery.
Oh, yes. Hold on. Bring those to me
No,
first.
do
No, bring them
not.
here first. Tyler,
No,
bring them
you
here
can't.
first.
That's
Tyler. Oh, come on. You're the
Mail
worst.
fraud.
I don't care now. She took the card. I wanted to look at the card. So somebody brought Amy flowers.
They're beautiful.
We had to. Who did that?
They're beautiful.
They just arrived into the studio.
Yes.
Who brought you flowers?
Well, we have to talk about murder.
No.
first.
I don't care about the murder anymore. I want to
These
talk
are
about these
beautiful.
flowers.
They're beautiful.
Who brought them? Who sent them?
Mason jar.
Mason sent them, or was it a weirdo?
No, mason jar.
Was it the person who texted yesterday and said they wish you were blind so they would have a chance with you? Somebody did say that.
It was not the guy that wished I was blind. No, they are from Mason jar, and they're beautiful.
So he just sent you flowers just because? Or is it your birthday or something?
No. He just sent them.
Did he forget Valentine's Day?
No.
Okay.
This, you know what? You could learn from this for your future
Whatever.
shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Here's the thing about
whatever it is that you do, you could
here's
use
the thing
a
about
tip or two.
the thing about shenanigans. You don't really have to get flowers.
Yeah, that's true. Well, since this is not a shenanigan, they're beautiful.
What's the card say?
I'm not gonna read
the card. Read
can't.
some of the card.
No.
Read. Does it say
He
I
said
love you on it?
He did wish that the flowers, there's an option for them to come in a mason jar, like be in a mason jar vase.
Oh, that's really cute.
Yeah, it was really
Wow.
sweet.
How
Mason jar,
adorable.
thank you so much. But yeah, that was really,
Do you
really
well
sweet.
tell him you love him? Do you love him or not?
Yes.
Oh, say I love you, Mason Jar.
Oh my gosh. Is this
Wow.
bullying?
Why is it so hard to tell him you love him?
I love you, Mason jar, and thank you so much for the beautiful, beautiful flowers. Now it's time to talk about murder.
Ask him.
No.
Ask
Ron,
Mason.
No.
Listen, ask Mason.
Listen.
If next time he sends you flowers, he could also deliver a snack to me or something. Like I should
Okay,
get
that's-
something.
That's fair.
All this is doing is making me feel left out.
Now I'm blushing, but you can't see it because I'm on the radio. But yes, you should feel left out. The flowers are beautiful. Thank you so much, Mason Jar.
They're very nice. There are sunflowers and there are tulips and
Yeah.
weeds.
They're beautiful.
Those are weeds, right?
No, they're not.
What are
And I
those
think
purple
you're
things?
bullying me.
I'm not bullying you. I think it's wonderful
They're
that you're in love.
daisies. They're a type of daisy.
The purple
And-
ones?
Yeah. And Ostomerias. Is that what they're called?
I don't know. What are you asking me for?
Well,
I'm not
we'll
a botanist.
we'll have a snack next time for you so you don't feel left out.
Just some cookies would be nice.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so what
I'll
about the
see what we
murder
can
now?
do. I'm all thrown off
Talk
because
about-
Tyler, our producer, was so kind to get the flowers and he brought them into studio. And
I
now,
love that he brought
and
them
now
directly in here.
I know. While we were on air, we were getting ready to talk about murder, and now I'm blushing. And it's really
Tyler
really
was hanging around outside the door, and he's like holding up the flowers. I go, come on in.
Thank you
Bring it
very
in."
much. Dave, this is the best thing you've ever done.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Don't ever ask me to do anything for you again.
Well, I wouldn't get it. Thank you so much. This
Oh.
is great. I'm so happy. So I see moss in those flowers. I see those are weeds. Like, why would he buy you
They're
weed
not
flowers?
weeds.
Is that marijuana
It's a
in
type
there?
of daisy. Oh my gosh, you're so obnoxious.
There are pot leaves in that.
314-436-7900 if you think Ranj is bullying me.
That's not bullying.
Yeah,
That's not bullying.
it is.
Texter says from 618 says Chris is jealous. Yes, I'm jealous. I didn't get anything.
Yeah. You
Feel
want,
free to send me flowers.
you want some of my sweet and salty mix?
No, I don't want your sweet and salty mix.
It's the American Trail Mix.
Yeah.
Born in Detroit, 1933. Exactly 90 years.
All right. So what about the murder?
Okay.
Go back to the
I don't know how
murder
to
thing.
transition. Here's the thing. I have been on the periphery of murder. You know what?
It's not.
It's over. Do we go to break or do we die?
I
How
don't know
does
what
this
we
work?
do.
How do we get out of this?
A texter believes that the flowers were bought with your credit card.
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious.
Another texter says, "Are we sure Amy did not send them to herself?"
Yeah, we are. We are. They're beautiful.
They're very nice.
And they're from Mason Jar. And it's really cute. He said he only wished that they could have been in a vase, a Mason Jar vase,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
Um,
And he said, "I love you."
Yeah.
That was nice.
I know. And I said it back.
So we talked about the murder. We talked to Charlie. We talked to don't call him old friend Charlie Brennan, a good friend Charlie Brennan. We spoke with him about the traffic cameras and
Okay.
bringing them back.
But going back to the periphery of murder, we talked about the horrific execution style murder that happened at 9:30 in the morning, 10
Yeah.
in the morning,
Right
just
before
down the
our
street,
show started
just
on
be- yes,
Monday.
on Tucker at convention. And then the suspect was found across the street from our building in the library, the beautiful library downtown. Okay, that happened. That happened in broad daylight. It didn't happen on, a sketchy street or somewhere that you wouldn't be driving around. Nope, it's right in the heart of downtown. And then yesterday at 5 p.m. on Brentwood Boulevard, just across from the Galleria, there was someone who fired bullets out of a car window, a drive-by shooting, targeting some pedestrians. Apparently, they did know the pedestrians. They had been in a fight or an argument of some sort previously. But again, broad daylight, 5 p.m. on Brentwood Boulevard doesn't get any busier. You can't get busier than 5 p.m. at Brentwood Boulevard in that area with all of the shopping centers plus the Galleria. And I'm in those areas every day. So I guess it's just pure luck that I haven't witnessed one of these incidents yet. But it is concerning. And I do think there's a proximity bias or a recency bias, I should say, in the sense that I don't feel particularly unsafe. I love going to the Galleria. I go to that area. I work downtown. I run downtown. I'm not going to stop. I'm just used to thinking, oh, well, I guess anything could happen at any moment. But if you're in the county and this is the news that you see, you are going to feel
Yeah.
reluctant. You might be afraid
Sure.
to come downtown, and I don't blame you.
And like the texter said earlier, who said, "You're a liberal. Get your head out of the sand." To me, I'm not scared to be here. There's a little bit of unease sometimes, but not most of the time. I don't feel uneasy being here. Sorry, I'm not scared. I know that The odds are higher than they should be. Something could happen, but they're still not high, if you know what I mean. So
I do.
I don't know, but whatever. You're free to not want to come down here. It's okay. In fact, Amy and I spoke to a lot of people in the area. We went out. We went out as the men on the street.
Kevin Killeen style.
Kevin Killeen. Well, Amy was the woman on the street. I was the man on the street, talking to people in St. Louis about how they feel about St. Louis and whether or not they even knew who the circuit attorney was. We will get back to those, some of the voices you have not heard yet when we come back next. This is Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on KMOX. Nice flowers, Amy.
.7 in the city, 11:20 a.m. further out. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And did we mention it's aluminum free? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 903 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, free product of your choice, and ships free with code 903. LumeDeodorant.com, code 903 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. Love it or return it for free. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 903.
Did you know that the average family home takes on 40 pounds of dust per year? It's the dust and debris that can worsen allergies and asthma and cause discomfort in your home. Call 314-474-2020. Mention the DGS or KMOX. Get $75 off any air duct cleaning package. ZeroResSTL.com.
What a great meeting. I loved everything he said. I think we found our new financial advisor.
I hated him.
What? Why?
He never even looked at me.
It's a story that's been repeated over and over in the financial industry. And it's the reason Deanna Orff at the All Financial Group is so passionate to change it. That's why on October 18th, she's hosting an exclusive women's event called Women in Wealth. It's an open forum for you to learn more about markets, investing, and planning for retirement, and a setting where you can ask questions. It's a fact that 90% of women will at some point be solely responsible for their finances. This could be a great first step.
Join us for the exclusive Women in Wealth event, Thursday, March 30th. It is free to attend, but you do need to make a reservation. Call 636-230-8824 or visit yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory services are offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor and an affiliate of Brookstone Capital Management, LLC. BWA and All Financial Group, LLC are independent of each other. Stephen All, Missouri license number 803-9738.
Hi, guys. It's Mark with Pineview Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. Our WAVE technology is backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge University. It's been shown to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us now. And not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, but will also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. This unprecedented offer is worth $600, but it's free to those who call in the next 2 minutes. Call 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now to qualify. 314-530-7777.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Nearly a century of informing, entertaining, and serving St. Louis. KMOX.
Amy and Chris on the show on KMOX. We're so happy you're with us here this afternoon. Dave Glover coming up at 1. Hope you're listening on the Odyssey app, which is free if you're not listening on 1120 AM or 98.7 FM. And again, thank you so much for making us part of your day today. We went about town, Amy and I went to different locations and talked to people. Just asked them where they were from, asked if they were living in the city or what neighborhood or what town or what part of this area they lived in, and what their perceptions were of the city itself, about the crime, and also out of curiosity if they even knew who Kim Gardner was, because all we've done for the last almost 2 weeks now is talk about the circuit attorney in St. Louis.
And one thing that prompted it, I spent the weekend out in the county, Chesterfield, Ellisville, Wildwood. And when people are asking about my work, because I met some new people, they asked me, wait, and because I said, we're talking about everything that's going on with the circuit attorney. They said, what do you mean? What circuit attorney? What are you talking about? They weren't following the circuit attorney or Kim Gardner. And I had several people who said, the only reason I know about it is I know you and I listened to your show and I know you're talking about it.
So here's Gerald from Kirkwood.
Sometimes I feel it gets a bad rep because anywhere you go, big cities, you're going to have crime. I think it gets blown out of proportion sometimes. Yes, we do have issues, but what city doesn't?
How much do you pay attention to what's happening in the city? You live in Kirkwood, so you're pretty close, but you're not in the city limits.
Pay attention to it some, but it gets to a point, I guess you can say it gets on your nerves, and so you kind of tune it out in the sense,
So you mean just the negative news, or is that
the negative news on it? That I think it's like I say, gets a bad rap. Everybody has their issues, but
How much have you been following the circuit attorney situation?
Not too much, just hearing bits and pieces here and there.
So as far as the city of St. Louis goes, do you feel unsafe when you're in it? What is your feeling when you go to it, if you ever do?
Don't feel unsafe. It's like anywhere you go, you just be aware of your surroundings, no matter what city you're in.
Do you feel more or less likely to want to be in the city than maybe you did 10 years ago?
No, it's about the same, because you have your place in the city you like to go visit or eat, so it's the same.
So that was somebody who really hasn't been affected, but also it's not uncommon that people just want to stop paying attention to the bad stuff.
Yeah.
It gets to be overwhelming.
Well, that sentiment is what we played earlier in the show. I talked to a volunteer at Forest Park. She's from Kimmswick, lives in Kimmswick, volunteers in Forest Park, also volunteers for the Soulard Mardi Gras celebration, volunteers for St. Patrick's Day parade festivities. And I asked her if she knew who Kim Gardner was. She said no. She knew the name Tashara Jones had something to do with city politics, but said, I try not to pay attention to the city because it's depressing. It's messy as far as the crime issues and political issues go.
Here's Mike from North County. When you talk about the city, when you talk about it with your family, with your friends, what's your perception of St. Louis?
It's nice. It's cool. You still have your little crimes in certain areas, but other than that, it's all right with me.
How do you feel about the crime now as compared to, 10 years ago?
Ooh, crime didn't raise. It didn't get terrible. Very. 10 years ago, it wasn't this much killing going on. Now you have probably 5 killings a day or better.
And Mike did say that I don't know how much he was really paying attention to what was going on with the circuit attorney. He said he was aware of her and knew who she was, but not like he was going out of his way to get coverage of the situation.
Yeah, and interesting too. The city saying, yep, we've got crime. But then when you asked, does it feel like it's gotten worse? He said, absolutely. That's something where you're still doing what you need to do, going to work, living, whatever it is you do in the city, you're still doing those things. But yeah, you notice that it's gotten significantly worse.
Also spoke to a Soulard resident, Jacinta, and I asked her what her perception of the crime was.
I think the crime is horrible. It's atrocious. I've actually spoken with our mayor, Tashara Jones, in regards to the crime. And what I was told was, what do you expect me to do about it?
Wait, that's exactly what she said to you?
Exactly what she said to me. And I'm like, well, I'm not the mayor. So I don't know what you should do about it, but let's put our heads together and come up with a plan. Well, she told me that a new police sergeant or lieutenant was being hired.
They just hired a new one.
And she sent me a survey to complete regarding the chief. By that time, I was too irate. I was done with the conversation and I left it alone. But pretty much there's only being round tables being held. There's no resolve. Every year they come together, meet at the table and walk away. And the crime is horrible. There should be no way that older people who survived and lived to be 70, 80 years old should have to worry about crime. Children going to school should not have to worry about crime. Women should not have to worry about crime. And it's taken precedence in the streets, but not in the courthouse.
So how did you reach out to her?
Via email. And it took her a while to respond. A friend of mine's daughter was murdered in Baden, North City. And I reached out to her because the family, as all families are that have been touched by crime. And I reached out to her in regards to that. And I was like, I am interested in trying to find out like what we can do as a village to help our kids, to help families, the mentally ill. And that was just her response. What do you want me to do about it? I'm trying to do the best I can. And she gave me a lot of rigmarole, but that was it.
I mean, I know you said that it's not up to you to find solutions. Is there anything you think can be done?
I do. Just because we are in the state of affairs that we're in, there needs to be a curfew set and implemented and followed. More policing. I think I rarely see police unless they're speeding by on a chase.
So I think it is important for people in certain neighborhoods particularly, and we've heard this before, that they want to see the presence there, that maybe it's not being targeted enough in the right areas, that it could help out a lot. What's the term that you always hear, or the phrase you always hear? It's over-policed, underprotected.
Yeah, people in some of the highest crime areas feel over-policed and underprotected.
Yeah, and maybe that's how a lot of these folks feel in the neighborhood. Because look, in North City, where in certain parts it's really bad, they don't want to live like that. People don't want to live in fear because they live in a high crime area. They want to live like the rest of us. People want to be and feel safe.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaking interview. And I think we should continue asking around the area, further out, the city, the county, St. Charles, how they feel about it, because it has to be a groundswell. I don't think it's going to start with our leaders. I think it has to start with everyone else.
314-436-7900. Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji on KMOX.
It was heard live on KMOX.
An absolutely wild news conference by Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner that devolved into a rally.
And what did Dave Glover think about it?
Personally, my initial response is that was so much worse than I could have ever dreamt. This is one of the most embarrassing days in the history of St. Louis politics. What an embarrassing joke that entire thing was. My only solace is that anyone with half a brain out there listening or watching can see through this.
Dave Glover speaks his mind.
There's no way that just happened.
Weekdays beginning at 1 on KMOX.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, here's my card.
And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR and include a 0.5% autopay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
At 12:30, we've got clouds and 64 degrees downtown at the Arch. Rescuers are searching through flattened, burned-out carriages for survivors and bodies after a passenger train and a freight train crashed head-on in central Greece. The collision happened just before midnight, killed at least 38 people and injured scores. U.S. intelligence agencies say they cannot link a foreign adversary to any of the incidents associated with so-called Havana syndrome, the cases of hundreds of brain injuries and other symptoms reported by American personnel around the world. Hotel deals.
As vacation plans come into focus, it can be worthwhile to look for new hotel openings wherever you're headed. Forbes Advisor says new hotels sometimes underprice themselves when they first open. It's part of an effort to attract more attention and determine what customers are willing to pay. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
We've got emergency vehicles on 6440 going west at Hampton. The right lane's closed. A crash on 55 south at Imperial, Maine on the right shoulder. And the forecast, partly sunny, some increase in clouds this afternoon with a high of 68 degrees. For tonight, the low 38. For tomorrow, more clouds and some showers mid to late afternoon. Gusty winds with a high of 55. At the moment, 64 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Yesterday, the Cardinals beat the Nationals 5-3, but it's quiet today in Jupiter as the Cardinals have their first off day since spring training got started. There's no game. There's also no workout scheduled. This is one of 2 days since games got going where the Cardinals do not have a scheduled game. The club has a game for the next 11 straight days, including tomorrow against the defending World Series champion Astros at Roger Dean Stadium. WBC-bound Adam Wainwright is the scheduled starter tomorrow, with Miles Mikolas and Jack Flaherty scheduled to start on Friday and Saturday, respectively. This spring training report is brought to you by Norm's Bargain Barn and Wilkie Window and Door. From the TR Hughes Homes Broadcast Center in Jupiter, Matt Hawley, KMOX Sports.
This Cardinals Spring Training Report is sponsored by Norm's Bargain Barn and Wilkie Window and Door.
Hi, this is Ken. And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Join us Sundays at 9:30 a.m. for Your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Broadcasting from the Underline Tree Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Spark Co-working St. Louis is a new collaborative workspace located within the PwC Pennant Building in Ballpark Village. The Spark Co-working community supports the thriving St. Louis entrepreneurial ecosystem, where you can live, work, and watch the Cardinals play all within one district. The all-inclusive workspace includes furnished month-to-month offices and suites with stadium, city, and arch views, concierge mail service, nitro cold brew coffee on tap, and so much more. Call 314-278-5297 or visit spark-stl.com.
I'm Dakota Hudson. I'm Jordan Hicks.
I'm Cardinals pitcher Jack Flaherty.
I'm Tommy Edman.
I'm Cardinals outfielder Jordan Walker.
I'm Paul DeYoung.
I'm Woodson Contreras. I'm Adam Wainwright, and you're listening to the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Just having a good time on KMOX on this Wednesday, March 1st. It is the first day of the month of March, which means spring is here. It also means, because it is the first day of March, that we are in the first day of Women's History Month. Amy Marxkors and Chris Ranji on the show. We go back to the guest line today. We talk to Dr. Ellen Carroll DuBois, who is a UCLA political historian, author of the book Suffrage, Women's Long Battle for the Vote. And Dr. DuBois visiting with us this afternoon on KMOX. Thanks for being with us, Doctor. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a great way to start the month.
Yeah, it is a great way to start the month, to have you on to talk about this. I don't think that a lot of people realize, we just finished Black History Month, and everybody knows February is Black History Month. I'm not sure that a lot of people are totally aware of Women's History Month.
Well, I can tell you a little bit about how it came about, if you'd like.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, it reaches all the way back to the time of the final years of the suffrage movement, and it honored a demonstration by working class women in New York in favor of their rights. So that was known as, and is still known around the world as International Women's Day. It became actually an international holiday even when it sort of disappeared from the United States. And if you look around, you'll see that there are often demonstrations where women have compelling issues to deal with. Then in the 1880s, President Reagan, towards the end of his term, recognized the growing importance of the women's vote and designated Women's History. I think it might have started as Women's History Week, and then it grew to Women's History Month.
When we look at the push for the women's right to vote, women's suffrage, and you go back to pre-Civil War years, and the foremothers that you focus on, like Lucretia Mott, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, Sojourner Truth, how radical were they for their time? Were they just like the very, very tip of the spear and not many people were for women's suffrage? Or were they leading a movement that was already starting to swell with momentum?
Great question. The former. They were really the tip of the spear. They were, the notion that women should have the right to vote was barely entertained. Voting was such a sort of central to men's sense of their own public standing, and their argument for women's suffrage was it got its first major boost when, in the aftermath of the Civil War, the Constitution was amended to give Black men the right to vote, and then from that point on, the right of women to vote became a federal issue. By the end of, and I don't think they had any idea how long it would take. Of course, it took 75 years. By the final period, it was a mass movement. It was able to turn out tens of thousands of women in major cities, and demonstrations and women's activism even in small towns. So by the time it happened, it was well past the time it should have happened.
Dr. Ellen Carroll DuBois is with us here on KMOX, and I have found that I think there are all kinds of examples throughout history of people who were at their time not popular or people eye rolled at them for their causes, whatever those causes were. And then long after they were gone, we revisited how we felt about those people. It happened with Martin Luther King. After he died.
The person I was thinking of. That's the perfect example.
Yes. So was it like that for a lot of these women who were pushing for this?
Yes, it was. It depended also on how they sort of put themselves forward. Stanton, whose radicalism was unparalleled, she went from demanding women's equal right to vote to demanding basically women's control over their reproduction, to finally, in her final years, attacking organized religion. But she was a lovely, charming, matronly mother of 7. And when she 7, that's right. And when people heard her or read her, they were quite taken with her. So it was quite a contrast between her sort of motherly presence and her radical ideas.
Well, and speaking of radical ideas, when you look at the end of the 19th century into the early 20th century, a lot of traditional values and accepted societal roles with the nuclear family and more traditional values as far as the roles of men and women. So for the women who wanted the right to vote, was there pushback from within the women's community themselves? Like, were there some women who didn't want women's suffrage?
Yes, there were. By let's say the last 10 or 15 years, there was a significant movement of women, nowhere near the size of the pro-suffrage movement. These were often women with otherwise conservative values. Sometimes they were attached to powerful conservative men. And they were able, in the very final stages of the movement, to slow things down. The most famous confrontation between the pro and anti-suffrage people occurred in the state of Tennessee in 1920, in the very last state to ratify the amendment. And both groups descended on the Capitol and fought over the vote of every single state legislator until Tennessee narrowly voted to ratify, and the amendment became. And even after that, opponents went to the court to argue against the ratification.
Because all the states are different, the political realities in Missouri are different than what they are in New York, like now. And I know that's always kind of been the case throughout the country. What was this movement like? We're right here in the bi-state area between Missouri and Illinois. A lot of our listeners are on the Illinois side of the river. What were things like in these two states during that time?
Great. Great. Illinois, of course, home to Chicago, and Chicago was a major center of suffrage activism. One of the interesting things about Chicago was that once we get into the 20th century, unlike southern states, Black male voters were not disfranchised. Moreover, in Chicago, they were Republicans, and Republicans controlled the city. So Black votes were significant in contests in Illinois, and that means that actually Black women were, I think, of any place in the United States, were most active in the suffrage movement in Chicago. Missouri also was home. St. Louis was home to a very important figure. This one was a Democrat. Her name was Virginia Minor, and she brought a case arguing that the United States Constitution, by virtue of the 14th Amendment, and it's a little bit of an elaboration. If we have time, I'll explain it. But she argued that women already had the right to vote. And that case came all the way up to the Supreme Court, which decided it in 1875. It was really the first important women's rights case to come before the court. And they decided that she was right, that women were citizens, but she was wrong, that the right to vote was a right of citizenship. And so women did not have the vote.
It's really interesting that the first woman to serve in Congress was Jeanette Rankin, a representative out of Montana, and she did so
Yeah.
in 1917, which was 3 years before women earned the right to vote. How does that happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, when you were saying states are different politically, states are also different in terms of voting. We live that every day now. We know that the standards for voting, all kinds of control over voting, is not federal, it's state. And what that means is that prior to the passage of the 19th Amendment, actually, if you read the 19th Amendment, it says states can't keep women from voting. So what that means is that there were states that allowed women to vote that had changed their own constitutions. The first one to do so was Colorado, actually, in 1893. But Montana had already given women the right to vote. So Jeanette Rankin was voted by the voters of Montana, which included women. And she was actually a suffrage activist. So that's a very important question that opens up. What that means is that by the time that the amendment was heading for ratification, 4 million women already had the right to vote. And when you have the right to vote, because your state allows you to, that means you can vote for president. It doesn't mean you just vote for your Congress people. The right to vote was, and I would say unfortunately, still is controlled at the state level.
When you look at that first election after American women had the right to vote, do you see a drastic shift in politics in any way, whether that's leaning more Republican or Democrat, or even just a flood of incumbents no longer winning their seats, but a new brand of politician come in?
Well, no. There was a lot of anticipation that women had sort of fought for the vote on the grounds that they would clean up politics and vote for the social good. But of course, those were the activists. And in fact, when women were enfranchised, or when the amendment was passed, it was a long, slow, 75 year or longer process by which women in the electorate changed things. At the beginning, women voted less than men. They were disproportionately Republican. They were led by white women, and of course, Black women had the same obstacles as their fathers and husbands. By the 1970s, things were beginning to change. Women were voting more frequently than men at higher levels, and they were disproportionately Democratic. And I would add, so that's the case now. Women vote at higher numbers than men, and they are more Democratic, and not woman by woman, but as a group, and more accepting of government spending, social welfare, et cetera. The other change that I want to remark on is that whereas at the beginning we were still in a kind of Jim Crow world, and women of color faced tremendous obstacles. Now, I would say, arguably, women of color are among the leading figures in women's political presence.
Dr. Ellen Carroll Du Bois, we appreciate all the information. Really good discussion today, and thank you for joining us on the first day of Women's History Month.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
It was great. Dr. Ellen Carroll Du Bois, UCLA political historian. Her book is called Suffrage, Women's Long Battle for the Vote. You want to pick that up. She was great.
Really good.
She's nice.
Okay, very interesting. This is random, but back when I was a writer, I was working on a story that followed women's marathoning, right? And the world record and who was winning women's marathons. And you can follow the world records of women's marathons with whichever countries had women's suffrage first. So you see Australian winners of these women marathoners before you see U.S. winners, because in Australia, women could vote before they could in the U.S. You see that with Great Britain. You see it in the United States. You can also track it with birth control. In the 80s, women's running really exploded. In the United States. You had more leverage with birth control. They had more power over reproductive rights, whereas a lot of the government funding and state funding in some of the African countries were focused on the AIDS epidemic. And so it wasn't until the 90s that you saw the brilliant African, Ethiopian, Kenyan female runners really win some of the world majors like New York, Chicago, and Boston. So if you think about it, think of how young that sport is. We know the Kenyans and Ethiopians are some of the best runners in the world. It's only been 25 years. We're just now hitting that second generation of female runners out of those countries. Pretty crazy, pretty extraordinary.
Just civil rights in general. It feels like all of this stuff happened an eternity ago, but it didn't.
No. When my grandpa was born, women didn't have the right to vote.
That's insanity.
That's insane.
Amy Marks, Coors, Chris Ranji. Final segment of the show is coming up. Then it's Dave Glover at 1 o'clock. We're going to hang out with them for an hour, as we always do here on KMOX.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
This is a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test. This has been a test of the emergency alert system. This was only a test.
Stress and anxiety reactions following disasters can be challenging. If you were impacted by the recent floods, show me hope, because help is available. Find resources and local providers at moshowmehope.org. Brought to you by the Missouri Department of Mental Health.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. If you have a stone foundation in your basement that needs tuck pointing, now is a great time to get that taken care of by calling Morelli Tuck Pointing. What's tuck pointing? It's the removal of old mortar with the replacement of new mortar on a wall or a chimney. That mortar can become loose, missing, deeply eroded. And that's what happened last year at our house. As a result, water came into our home through the front room ceiling. The Morelli team tuck pointed and spot tuck pointed the outside wall and the chimney last August. Morelli then cleaned the job site, left the work area spotless. We could not have been happier with the work performed by the Morelli team. Morelli has won the Better Business Bureau's Torch Award and the Angie's List Super Service Award every year since 2005. Check out their reviews on the Google and Better Business Bureau websites for a free inspection and estimate. 314-645-1387, MorelliTuckPointing.com.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
It's kickoff time, St. Louis. Shop Rally House for the best selection of St. Louis City SC gear as your new team takes the pitch during their inaugural season.
Cardinals, Blues, Missouri State, Tigers, Billikens, don't be late. Rally House, Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's the Rally House.
Shop St. Louis City SC in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com.
Prepare an emergency kit, sign up for local alerts, and make a family communications plan. Get started today at ready.gov/plan. A public service message brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Dude, I'm here for the show.
What show?
St. Louis, this is your show.
The show.
Embarrassing.
The show on KMOX.
You know what, Amy? I have decided
Yeah.
you can keep your boyfriend.
Oh,
Yeah, you can keep him.
I mean, thanks.
Mason is okay with me because he felt bad that he didn't send me cookies along with the flowers he sent you.
Mhm.
And he has promised next time to send cookies too. So
Yes, Mason Jar sent me
You can keep
beautiful
them.
flowers, and he said that next time he'll include a
you.
treat for Ranj.
that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
What a nice guy.
He's the best.
I like him. A lot of people say that there's only a couple of different reasons to send flowers. We've had texters to
Oh my
314-436-7900. And I'm just paraphrasing here, but they are saying that it's either because it's a holiday or Valentine's Day or something like that, or he messed up.
But he didn't.
He didn't mess up?
No, he's just awesome.
Well, okay, good.
Yes.
That's very good to hear that. In fact, this tech, I send flowers on special holidays or when I make a mistake.
Oh. Who
Right.
does he send him to?
I don't know. I don't know. Hey, so the very first game of the home game at City Park
Yep.
is happening on Saturday. Very excited about it. It's going to be a cool night, so you're going to want to bundle up if you're going to it. And also, if you're trying to get last minute tickets,
Mhm.
you're going to pay a lot of money through scalpers,
They're
which is
expensive.
I understand the resale market, and sometimes it is very valuable when things get sold out. But one of the reasons things get sold out so quickly is because of the resale market. So it's bothersome to me to see, and I realize this is the first ever game for St. Louis City SC at home,
Mhm.
but to see the ticket prices, and I know it's the market, but also it's kind of a little bit gouging by some of these people who have these tickets and are trying to get rid of them.
I was on StubHub, and you can get standing room only tickets for $162 each if you want. Or if you don't have any money, you can go see the Blues.
Oh, yes.
I think you can get Blues tickets for like $11.
$11.
I'm not even kidding.
On the ice?
I don't know how good the seats are, but $11 is pretty good. Andrew of the Dave Glover Show, the guy that maybe stole my credit card and bought food from our
Did.
marketplace, he bought 3 Blues tickets, and he said he went to the Blues game, 3 tickets. The whole thing cost him, I think, $112. That's nothing for a
That's
hockey
really
game.
not much at all.
For a hockey game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
My guess is those were lower bowl.
Well, and they're trying to trade everybody. Did Colton Parayko get traded yet?
I don't think so. They're doing a good job trading everybody, though.
Yep. It's happening. It's happening everywhere. So I feel that window has come to a close, huh?
Yeah. The New York Rangers are stacked right now because they
Yeah.
just got Ryan O'Reilly. And who was the other guy?
Patrick Kane
That's right.
from the Blackhawks.
Impressive.
So, yeah, the Blackhawks are bad. The Blues are not great.
You know, Patrick Kane and Ryan O'Reilly.
Both from Buffalo.
I don't know if they'll be on the same line, but I know they respect each other and play well together. I think they.
Well, wait. O'Reilly's not from Buffalo, but they both have Buffalo ties
Oh, like
and
neckties?
Buffalo pants. What?
Like neckties?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
Amy, this was a fun day.
Was it? Oh, it was fun.
Yeah, we had a lot of things happen, and there were flowers.
Yep.
Dave Glover Show is coming up next. Anything you missed is on the Odyssey app. Go download it. You can have it in your life, and you can listen to the show. You can listen to Dave Glover, everybody. All there on the Odyssey app. We love you. It's KMOX.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun.